Chapter 29:35. Sensing this, the Grade 6 Divine General's face was full of fear. The divine light on his body twisted wildly, and his high-grade armor was pushed to the limit. Zichun appeared in front of him in a flash and punched his body. With a boom, the light of thunder exploded on his chest. The Grade 6 Divine General's body fell to the ground, and the defense on his body shattered as expected. After breaking the defense with one punch, Lu Cheng's real body did not continue to attack. He looked at his opponent in the air. The clone turned into a divine light and went straight for the Grade 6 Divine General like a falling meteor. Poof! The divine spear pierced the Grade 6 Divine General's throat. The divine light surged into his body and destroyed his vitality. The battle was over. On the other side, the battle between Luo Yi and the Grade 5 Divine General was coming to an end. The Grade 5 Divine General died one after another. The clone waved his hand and collected the Grade 6 Divine General's corpse. When he looked up, Luo Yi had killed the last one. Impressive. Looks like you've gained a lot, Luo Yi said in surprise as he looked at the increasingly weak Zichun. Zichun smiled bitterly. I've used up all the strength I've accumulated over the past few days with just 3 punches. I'm really weak now. Luo Yi said, that's still very strong. Did you have such a technique before? Zichun thought for a moment and said, that's true. Although Zichun's physical strength was abundant, it was definitely not enough to kill a Grade 6 Divine General easily. Now that he had defeated 2 Grade 6 Divine General with just 3 punches, it was obvious that his strength was extraordinary. Moreover, Zichun's physical realm was only Grade 5, not Grade 6. Looks like there are still enemies that haven't been destroyed. Luo Yi looked up at the divine formation that was still there. His expression gradually turned cold. His sword pierced through the air, and the sword aura cut through the sky. The divine formation was split into 2 without any resistance. Looks like they ran away when things went south, Zichun said. That's true. The 2 continued on their way. Zichun's real body turned into a clone, and his real body returned to the world to recover. He could no longer use his physical technique from before. His body could not condense new strength. Therefore, he took out a Grade 5 inner core and refined it, turning it into physical strength. As soon as the Niden transformed into physical strength, it was absorbed by the heart. At this moment, his heart seemed to have become a bottomless pit. Zichun opened his eyes and asked Shadowless for help. Shadowless shook his head. I've never encountered a situation like yours, so I can't help you. However, since it can devour energy and give back energy, why don't you refine more inner cores? That way, the more energy you absorb, the more energy you get back. Zichun nodded. It seemed that this was the only way. This kind of power, could it be the power of thunder from outer space? Zichun asked after a moment of hesitation. Shadowless shook his head. I don't think so. The power from beyond the heavens can't exist in this world. Zichun said again. All of this was caused by the power of thunder in my heart. Is it possible that after that power disappears, my power will return to its original golden color? That's possible, Shadowless said. When Zichun heard this, his expression turned ugly. If that was really the case, then it would be a pity. This was a power that was even stronger than a perfect body. How good would it be if it was permanent? The Avatar followed Roy in the outside world. Midway, Roy asked, could this be a coincidence? The Avatar said, of course not. Then who could it be? Roy frowned. Even if the Blood Scorpion army knows about this, it's absolutely impossible for them to set up an array to block our path. The Avatar's expression turned cold. Roy frowned and said, could it be Martin? Martin and Lunk know that we're returning to Baylor City, but the others were there at that time. I believe they heard it. In that case, it's those disgusting fellows? They're already dead. There's no proof. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Thankfully, I didn't join the army. Otherwise, I would really be disgusted. The Avatar smiled. With a flash of light in his hand, a set of high-grade armor appeared. My true body promised to give it to you. Roy was taken aback as he said, are you serious? The Avatar said with a smile, my true body said that you've already passed the test. As a reward for joining the team, this high-grade armor is yours. Hearing this, Roy laughed loudly. He took it without hesitation and said, "A high-grade armor for joining the team. This is really a good thing. It seems that it was wise of me not to join the first army." After that, the two of them didn't encounter any more danger and returned directly to Baylor City. In the inn, Zichun saw everyone. After seeing Zichun, everyone was very happy. However, when they saw Roy, who Zichun brought back, they were slightly stunned. "This is Roy," Zichun introduced. "From now on, he'll be a member of our team." After that, Zichun introduced everyone to Roy. After hearing Ichin's name, Roy's expression changed. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by a voice. "Roy, right? You've joined our team. How's your combat strength? Do you want to spar a little?" The monk came forward. "My combat strength is okay," Roy said modestly. Zichun, who was at the side, said, "You'd better not look for trouble. Luoi has a high-grade armor." High-grade armor? When everyone heard this, their expressions changed slightly. They were very surprised. The monk's eyes lit up, and he said, "High-grade armor? That's very powerful. Roy, how about this? Let's make a bet. The bet is a piece of high-grade armor. If you can break my defense without armor with a full-strength attack, I'll give you a high-grade armor. If you can't break my defense, then give me one." Roy was stunned. Facing the monk's enthusiastic bet, he was at a loss. Zichun laughed and scolded, "You bald thief, you're really greedy." He then said to Roy, "Don't bet with him. He doesn't have a high-grade armor. He's just trying to cheat you of your armor. You have to be careful of this guy. He wants to cheat all the good things." Roy was shocked. Although Zichun was reminding him, he obviously didn't think highly of his combat strength. If his full-strength attack couldn't break the opponent's defense without armor, then how strong was his defense? Roy was very surprised, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled and said he wouldn't bet. The monk was very sorry about this. Su Mingyao asked Zichun what he had encountered this time and whether it was dangerous. Zichun briefly explained what had happened. When everyone heard about the prehistoric site, they were very surprised. After that, Zichun took out the inner cores he had obtained and distributed some to everyone, indicating that they should refine them as soon as possible. When everyone reached 5th grade, they would go out to hunt heavenly beasts together. Zichun didn't look weak anymore, but the lightning power accumulated in his body wasn't much. He could clearly feel that the devouring power of his heart had weakened, and the lightning power feedback had decreased by a lot. Chapter 29:36. This time, he had gained quite a lot from following Martin. Hundreds of heavenly beast inner cores and that strange lightning power were all great opportunities. However, after returning, Zichun was not happy at all. This was because the power that was stronger than the perfect body was not permanent and could disappear at any time. It was like giving people hope and then making them feel despair. Although Zichun was far from despair, he was not happy either. There was a power that was stronger than the power cultivated by the heavenly book in this world. This was a shocking thing. He had already obtained it, but it could not be eternal. Kongimo was no longer blindly refining tools. Zichun let him out and let him walk around the city with everyone to relax a little. Half a month passed like this. The devil ape was the first to reach the 5th stage, and its combat strength became even stronger. In the following time, Longhu Sovereign and the others who had strong physical bodies broke through one after another. Zichun had obtained hundreds of inner cores this time, so he did not plan to hunt 5th stage heavenly beasts for the time being. Most importantly, there were almost no 5th stage heavenly beasts in the periphery. If he wanted to hunt, he would have to go deeper, where it was much more dangerous. A few days later, Martin and Luin Ku came again. After seeing the two of them, Zichun was very surprised and welcomed them. At the same time, Martin and Luin Ku also saw the others. After sensing the powerful aura of these people, he was even more shocked. The Legion was currently lacking people. If these people could join, it would be beneficial for the Legion. I didn't expect that after not seeing each other for a few years, everyone's strength would have grown to this extent. Martin nodded at everyone. Among these people, only 3 were from the God Clan. The others' auras were obviously different from the God Clan, and their power was not the God Clan's power. Martin thought for a moment and said, "Zichun, are you willing to join our Legion?" Zichen smiled and did not say anything. Martin said again, "There are only benefits to joining the Legion. Our Legion has specialized refiners who can customize battle armor. With your combat strength, after joining the Legion, it won't be long before you can accumulate enough contribution points to exchange for a tailor-made slot. When that time comes, your combat strength will be even stronger. If it's just a tailor-made battle armor, I can do it. Why should I join the Legion?" Kangamo, who came in from outside, said after hearing Martin's words. Martin was startled upon hearing this. He looked at the young Kangamo and sensed his native aura. He said, "Young friend, you know how to tailor armors?" Kangamo asked, "Is it very difficult?" Martin was filled with emotion when he heard this. Just as he was about to say something, Roy said, "Martin, you'd better not talk about joining the army anymore. It's impossible for Zichun to go. Last time, Zichun and I were ambushed on our way back." Ambush? Martin raised his head and looked at Zichun. Lunk, who had been silent all this while, also changed his expression. Zichun said, "It's the Blood Scorpion Corps. 2 rank SAXS and several rank 5s set up a formation on our way back and ambushed the 2 of us." Zichun had killed many of the Blood Scorpion Legion's members. If the 2 sides were to face each other head-on, it would not be a big deal. However, being ambushed midway was clearly abnormal. Because no one knew where they were going, how could they set up a formation midway? Martin also sensed the seriousness of the matter. His expression immediately turned ugly. He said in a low voice, after returning to the Legion, "I will definitely report this matter to the Lord and thoroughly investigate this matter." Lunk looked extremely embarrassed. Obviously, he did not expect such a thing to happen. At that time, Zichun was in a very bad state. Even when faced with the ambush of 2 rank SAXS, he was still intact. This showed that he was extraordinary. This time, besides catching up, there's actually one more thing I want to tell you. What is it? Zichun looked at Martin. Our Legion found a bigger ruin in the depths. It's just that it's too dangerous, so we suffered great losses. Martin said, "This is also the reason why I'm in such a hurry to recruit people. As a result, we didn't do a proper investigation and allowed people like Thoughtless Sea to sneak in. These days, as the Legion went deeper and deeper into the ruins, we suffered more and more losses. The secret of the large-scale ruin could not be kept. Therefore, the Legion decided to disclose this secret." Zichun was very surprised to hear this. Last time, when he saw those injured heavenly pythons running out from the depths, he felt that something must have happened. Now, it seemed that everything was caused by the Divine Legion. The eyes of Tyrant and the others lit up. Zichun had only gone to a small ruin and obtained hundreds of inner cores. What about the large-scale ruin this time? They were very excited and eager to try. Martin said, "Although we've decided to disclose it, there is a prerequisite. That is, if people who are not part of the Legion enter, each person will have to pay 4 inner cores of heavenly beasts. If people from the Legion enter, they won't have to pay a single coin." Zichun had more than 20 people with him. If all of them entered, they would have to pay nearly 100 inner cores of heavenly beasts. This was a huge number. In this area, it was very rare for an individual to be able to pay that much. Obviously, Martin was being kind. Zichun was also very clear about the value of inner cores. If he hadn't found this ruin, he would only have a few inner cores. How would he be able to take out nearly 100 inner cores? Everyone was already tempted. Zichun had also tasted the sweetness of the ruin, so he naturally wanted to explore it again. Thus, he asked, "Is it open to everyone?" "Yes, even the members of the Blood Scorpion Legion who are not on good terms with us." Martin nodded. "But if that's the case, what if someone uses spatial techniques to gather a group of people together?" Zichun asked again. The others chuckled when they heard this. Obviously, they understood Zichun's real meaning. Martin said, "That ruin is a little special. It's isolated from all special spaces. It's almost impossible to bring people in like this." Seeing that Zichun was still skeptical, Martin said, "You'll know when the time comes. Of course, if you can really bring people in like this, it's your own good fortune. The Legion won't stop you." This was Martin's main reason for coming here. At the same time, he also wanted to recruit Zichun. Alas, Zichun still didn't agree. After staying here for a day, Martin and Lunk said their goodbyes and left. What do you all think? Zichun looked at the crowd. What can we think about this? Of course we should leave as soon as possible. If we're late, the good stuff will be gone, Monk said anxiously. Zichun ignored Monk and looked at the others. Chapter 29:37. There were still many people in the team who hadn't reached rank 5. Although their combat strength wasn't weak, having a rank 5 body meant that they were stronger. Su Mingyao's suggestion was for the sake of the big picture. Monk was anxious because he was still some distance away from rank 5. Zichun pondered for a while. There was strength in numbers, but it also meant greater danger. The gods' mercenary army was known as the top army in this area. Naturally, they were very powerful. Even they suffered great losses. One could imagine how dangerous the ruins were. Zichun thought for a while and said, Monk, Monster Ape, Zhang Haoyin, and Luo Yi will follow me. The rest will stay. The anxious monk heaved a sigh of relief. Monster Ape didn't say anything. He would do whatever Zichun said. Longhu and the others had also reached rank 5. Hearing that Zichun wouldn't take them with him, they couldn't help but feel regretful. But they didn't have any objections. They had been together for a long time. They knew that Zichun's every decision was for the team. Sir, I'm not going either? Kang Yamo asked doubtfully. I might not be able to open my space when we get there, Zichun said. You stay and continue to improve yourself? Kang Yamo nodded to show that he understood. Zichun's space was a perfect world. Monk and the others couldn't open their worlds here. Only Zichun could. This was his uniqueness. But Martin's words reminded Zichun that although his world was special, it wasn't uncontrollable. For safety's sake, he only brought a few people with him. Monk's body hadn't reached rank 5, but he had absolute defense. In times of danger, he would be the biggest meat shield in the team. Zhang Haoyin was good at assassination. There was no harm in bringing him along. Monster Ape had reached rank 5 and was very powerful. Of course, he would bring him along. In fact, Longhu and the others wouldn't be a problem. But no one dared to guarantee the safety of this world. So, they were left to protect the others. As for Luo Yi, he naturally had to follow. Keep these things. They should last until we come back. After Zichun left behind some Nadens, he took out the other hundreds of Nadens and handed them over to Su Mingyao. At the same time, he took out a divine ring and handed it to Kang Yamo, saying, Take these things. If it's not enough, ask for more from Big Sister Mingyao. Kang Yamo took the divine ring and nodded continuously. I don't know when I'll be back after leaving this time. I have some inner cores with me. I'll leave them for everyone. Luo Yi took out his inner core and gave it to Su Mingyao. Su Mingyao hesitated and looked at Zichun. Zichun nodded, so she accepted it. In addition, Zichun also had a set of upper-tier armor, but it was damaged, so he also left it behind. In just 2 days, news of the large-scale ruins had spread throughout the city. When everyone heard that each person would have to pay 4 heavenly beast cores, their high spirits immediately turned to disappointment. For those below level 5, wanting to obtain so many heavenly beast inner cores was simply unrealistic. Even a level 5 heavenly beast inner cores might not be able to obtain so many heavenly beast inner cores, and those who were able to obtain them were mostly from powerful factions. Another 2 days passed. Zichun received a message from Martin, so he took action. A group of people sent them out of the city, and Zichun followed the route that Martin had previously left behind and headed deeper into the ruins. I hope that this time, we'll have a great harvest. Along the way, Monk seemed very excited. He did not expect to come here with such a great opportunity. No one could remain calm, especially Zichun. The power in his heart had decreased a lot, so he wanted to go deeper and try his luck. Even if he could not obtain this power for a long time, it would be good if he could obtain a few more. Following the route, they went straight into the depths. 3 days later, they met many people who were on the same path. Along the way, they encountered some heavenly beasts, which were easily killed. When they arrived at the destination that Martin had mentioned, Zichun saw many powerhouses gathered here. Although the entry qualification of 4 heavenly beast inner cores per person made many people turn away, there were still many people who came. It seemed that all those above level 5 in this area who could afford 4 heavenly beast inner cores had all come here. As soon as they arrived, Zichun saw Martin. The latter also noticed Zichun and flew over. "Just the two of you?" Martin asked in surprise when he saw Zichun and Luo Yi. Zichun smiled. Martin understood what he meant and smiled. "Good luck." 3 people meant 12 heavenly beast inner cores. They should save as much as possible. I've already reported what you said last time to the Legion. The Legion is also investigating this matter, but they haven't found any evidence yet, Martin said in a low voice. At that time, Lunk, Drew, and I knew about it. After we go in, we must be careful of them. Okay. Zichun nodded. At this moment, Zichun saw Drew standing in the crowd. Drew also saw him. Separated by the sparse crowd, Drew nodded lightly at Zichun. Zichun nodded in response. Their eyes met. At the same time, Zichun felt a murderous intent on him from another direction. He looked around and saw the Blood Scorpion Legion. Everyone he saw that day was dead. No one should know about the grudge between him and the Blood Scorpion Legion. This murderous intent was a little inexplicable. Zichun's gaze fell back on Drew. If someone had purposely sent a message to him, then this murderous intent was normal. His expression became colder and more cautious. After entering, he would have to face the Blood Scorpion Legion's murderous intent, regardless of whether there was an opportunity or not. But he was not afraid. This was because his body was filled with power. This power was enough to last a long battle. Similarly, as long as the world could still be opened, he had nothing to fear. At this moment, a powerful aura appeared. It was emitted by a person. He was wearing shining armor. As soon as he appeared, the noisy surroundings immediately became quiet. One could even hear a pin drop. Everyone's eyes fell on him with different expressions. Some were shocked, some were surprised, some were excited, some were worshipping, some were in awe, and some were fanatical. Martin, who was standing beside Zichun, also looked at that person. His expression became respectful, and his eyes were filled with worship. He was the commander of the mercenaries of God, known as the strongest person in the world. Wei. Wherever he stood, he would be the center of attention. After a brief silence, there were loud cries of surprise. "It's Lord Wei, the strongest person in this region. I didn't expect even Lord Wei to come." Everyone was at rank 9. Logically speaking, they should not be so excited. Wei. Hearing this name, Luo Yi was startled and extremely surprised. "You know him?" Zichun asked. He was first on the ranking of generals back then. He dominated the ranking of generals for tens of thousands of years before disappearing from it. Back then, everyone thought that he had advanced to become a god king. "I didn't expect him to come here," Luo Yi said. "First on the ranking of generals?" This was an extremely familiar term. Before coming here, Zichun was also first on the ranking of generals. If you don't break through, your ranking will disappear from the ranking of generals? I'm not sure. Wei Li's gaze swept across the crowd. He gently raised his hand, and the surrounding cries of surprise disappeared. The surroundings became quiet once more. "Everyone, the ruins are filled with danger. Once you enter, you must be careful. The enemy is very strong. Do not fight among yourselves. Otherwise, your losses will only be greater." Everyone respectfully cupped their fists and bowed to Wei Li. "All right, everyone. Follow me to the entrance of the ruins." Wei Li waved his hand. A divine light descended, and a massive teleportation array appeared on the ground. Chapter 29:38. The teleportation formation lit up and Wei Li's figure disappeared. "It's Lord Wei Li. I didn't expect him to come personally." Martin was very excited. "The armor he's wearing doesn't seem to be top grade," Zichun said as he looked at the shining teleportation formation. "It's a custom-made armor that can greatly stimulate Lord Wei's combat power." Martin said in shock. "It seems that this trip to the ruins is definitely not ordinary." Zichun asked in surprise. "He doesn't usually show himself?" "I've been in the mercenaries of God for more than 10,000 years, and I've only seen Lord Wei Li twice. It's said that Lord Wei Li already has a 9th grade physical body and is trying to break through to the Divine King realm. He doesn't usually show himself." While Martin was speaking, more powerful auras appeared in the field. Each of these auras made Zichun feel a strong sense of threat. With the appearance of these people, There were exclamations all around. Obviously, these people were not to be trifled with. Almost all of them were experts from certain forces. Among them was the commander of the Blood Scorpion Legion. These experts' auras were very powerful. Every one of them was wearing custom-made armor. When Zichen entered this area, he thought that as the number one on the ranking of generals, he would be the strongest in this world and could sweep away everything. After seeing the five-headed sky python, he knew how laughable this idea was. Today, he truly sensed the difference between the 9 grades. At the same time, he also knew that he was not the only number one on the ranking of generals in this world. His advantages were nothing in front of these powerhouses. Those powerful beings entered the teleportation formation one after another. After that, the surrounding crowd entered as well. The brilliance of the divine formation kept flashing, and a large number of divine generals disappeared. "Let's go too." Lunk waved at them from afar. Martin turned to look at Zichen and said. Zichen nodded and put away his complicated emotions. The 3 of them flew forward. They entered the teleportation formation and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were on a plain. There was an open passage in front of them. The space around the passage was still distorted and was not stable. The lords who had come previously were gone. Outside the passage, there were several members of the Mercenaries of God. They were guarding outside the passage and specialized in collecting inner cores. "Zichen, let's go in together," Martin said to Zichen. "All right." After Zichen agreed, Martin walked towards the Mercenaries of God. At this moment, some people had already started to hand over their inner cores. After the people outside the passage checked their inner cores, they would be let in. Zichen and Luoyi watched from afar. Several rank 5 existences walked in. During this period of time, when one person disappeared, several rays of light flew out from his body. Those rays of light landed outside the tunnel and turned into human figures. Everyone was stunned when they saw the sudden appearance of these people. Those few people were also stunned. Soon after, they understood something and their expressions became extremely dejected. "Are we still going in?" Beside them, a member of the Mercenaries of God asked indifferently. The few of them took out their inner cores and returned them to the other party before walking in. Discussions broke out all around. Zichen noticed that many people's expressions had changed. There were definitely many people who had used this method. "Everyone, give up as soon as possible. This world isolates all space." The divine general in charge of collecting the Nadens said indifferently. Dejected sighs came from all around. During this period of time, people continued to enter. But every moment, someone would turn into light and appear. After some people appeared, they would take out their inner cores and enter. Others would leave in disappointment. Everyone had to hand over 4 inner cores. This was not a small number. So far, no one had forcefully broken through. "How about it?" Luoyi looked at Zichen beside him. "Let's try," Zichen said hesitantly. His world was obviously different from space. He still had some confidence in himself. At the same time, those who entered were obviously confident in their own space. Light flashed, and another 3 people were left behind. After the 3 of them appeared, they cursed angrily and left unwillingly. According to the 3 of them, the 4 inner cores were gathered by the 4 of them. Now, the 3 of them were eliminated. Similar things continued to happen. Many people were eliminated, but no one knew whether or not anyone succeeded. 4 rank 6 inner cores. At this time, a rank 6 was about to enter, but was stopped by the other party. He did not take the 4 rank 5 inner cores from the rank 6. 4 rank 6 inner cores. Why don't you rob them? Hearing this, the rank 6's face immediately showed anger. "We, the Mercenaries of God, do not force anyone. Everything is voluntary. If you want to enter, you have to take out 4 inner cores of the same level." "What about rank 7? 4 rank 7 inner cores for rank 7? Are you crazy? You want rank 8 to take out 4 rank 8 inner cores? Rank 9 to take out 4 rank 9 inner cores?" The rank 6 was not convinced. "Rank 8 and rank 9 are free," the other party said indifferently. The quarrel in front attracted many people. For rank 5 inner cores were extremely valuable for most rank 5. Similarly, rank 6 inner cores were extremely valuable for rank 6. At the very least, among the rank 6 that Zichen killed, he did not see any rank 6 inner cores. They were all rank 5 inner cores. Here you go. The rank SIX's expression was ugly, but he still took out 40 rank 5 inner cores. Seeing this, Luoi said, since the mercenaries of God dared to ask for this price, they must have a lot of resources inside. Zichen looked at the God General who was collecting the inner cores and said, the number of inner cores he collected today is probably more than 10,000. I wonder if anyone has any ideas about him. Compared to the risk of entering, this person in front of them was the real opportunity. Luoi smiled, who knew how many mercenaries of God members were around, so they would naturally be on guard against others. Martin had not entered yet. Obviously, they wanted to wait until the end. After all, it was free to enter. Time passed, and there were still people who wanted to try their luck. Rays of light appeared, and those who were eliminated cursed and left dejectedly. Some took out their inner cores and entered again. No matter what everyone gets this time, the mercenaries of God are the biggest winners. Luoi said as he looked at the people who entered. Zichen nodded. At this time, the other party had already collected more than 10,000 inner cores. If they were to rely on them to kill, how long would it take? The people around gradually decreased. Zichen, who had been watching this scene silently, said, let's go. Luoi nodded, and the two of them walked forward. During this time, Zichen was still a little nervous. However, even if Monk and the others were eliminated, it did not matter because they all had resources and could enter. Martin looked at Zichen, who was walking forward with a smile on his face. Zichen came to the teleportation array and took out 8 heavenly beast inner cores. After receiving them, the other party nodded at them. Zichen and Luoi walked toward the passage. With a flash of light, the two of them disappeared. Seeing the two of them disappear, the smile on Martin's face froze. Lunk, who was beside him, was also stunned. He found it unbelievable. Chapter 29:39. None of the people that entered that space would be stopped. However, the people that were hidden in that space would be directly eliminated. After Zichen landed, he sensed that Monk and the others were still standing in the world. A smile appeared on his face. Luoi saw the smile on Zichen's face and said with a smile, looks like you succeeded. Zichen nodded. If we knew this would happen, we would have sold 2 inner cores. We could have made a lot of money. Zichen smiled, but it was a little forced. When he let Monk and the others out, he felt a strange force begin to suppress the world, making it smaller and smaller. What's wrong? Luoi noticed Zichen's abnormality. Zichen shook his head. He did not know how to explain this kind of thing, so he did not say anything for the time being. The appearance of Monk and the others did not attract the attention of the people around them because there were people coming in every moment. Let's go straight in. Monk looked at the crowd in the distance and said excitedly. Let's wait for Martin first, Zichen said. They waited patiently. After about 15 minutes, the people of the mercenaries of God finally appeared. They had a lot of people. With so many people guarding outside, no one dared to cause trouble. Zichen saw Drew in the crowd, and Drew also saw Zichen. He smiled indifferently and led the team away. Martin and Lunk were the last to appear. After they came out, they walked toward them. Martin said, Zichen, you're really something? Zichen smiled and said, it's just luck. Why are there only a few of you? Where are the others? Martin asked when he found that there were only 5 people in total. They didn't come. The few of us are enough. That's true. This place is quite dangerous. Let's go. Zichen asked, aren't you going with the team? Martin shook his head. Although he and Lunk belonged to the army, they were only in charge of the assessment and did not usually follow the army's team. Therefore, they were only acquaintances and were not familiar with each other. In this kind of life and death situation, the team naturally needed some people who were familiar with each other and had a tacit understanding. During this time, Drew invited Martin, but Martin rejected him. The group of 7 headed deeper into the forest. Along the way, they saw many traces of battle and dried blood stains. It's been 6 years since we discovered this ruin. Back then, it took us 2 years just to break it open. For the next 4 years, we kept trying to go deeper, but each time, we suffered more losses than the last. Of course, we also gained a lot. Otherwise, we wouldn't have asked for 4 inner cores for each person. Along the way, Martin said, "It is said that when we first discovered this place, there were many sky pythons entrenched outside the ruins. They seemed to have discovered this place and wanted to come in. We suffered great losses in that battle." When Zichen heard this, his eyes lit up and he asked, "The sky python also has the intention to come here?" Martin nodded. "That's what I heard. Back then, Lunk and I were outside and didn't see it with our own eyes." Zichen thought back to the previous time when he had obtained the lightning attribute. At that time, many of the heavenly beasts outside the huge rock had died. Since there were also heavenly beasts here, did that mean that there was also lightning energy here? He became excited. If he really had that kind of power, then this trip would not be in vain. At this moment, there was a cry of surprise in front of him, mixed with panic. The void in front of him suddenly began to distort, and a huge vortex appeared. Colorful lights lingered in the vortex, and 5 sky pythons flew out from it. This was the 5-headed sky python at its peak, and its aura was very strong. After it appeared, the 5 heads opened their mouths and attacked with the 5 elements. Meteorites, flames, and golden swords continued to wreak havoc, with a shrill sound of breaking the air. Those divine generals who were nearby retreated one after another. In the vortex, more 5-headed sky pythons appeared. When they saw the divine generals here, they did not hesitate to attack. A chaotic battle was about to break out. They actually opened a passage. Martin was shocked when he saw this scene. There's more than one passage. Look over there. Zichen's gaze fell on another direction. There was also a vortex there, and other heavenly beasts walked out of it. Then, several more passages appeared, and the heavenly beasts that rushed out of those passages were different. Their aura varied, but the weak ones were at grade 5, and the strong ones were at grade 6, and there were even grade 7. The surroundings were in chaos, and there were constant shouts. Luo, he looked ahead and said in shock, "This is really a place of opportunity." Yes, opportunity and danger coexist. I wonder how many people will survive in the end, Zichen said as he felt the strong aura around him. At this time, the area had fallen into chaos, and there were battles everywhere. All kinds of attacks were released, and they were wreaking havoc between heaven and earth. Deaths were happening at any time. "Let's do it." Monk rushed forward impatiently. As he rushed forward, a light shield appeared in his hand, forming a defense. Bang! The 5-headed sky python's tail hit Monk, and his body immediately flew backward. Then, he rushed forward again, and his defense was intact. Seeing this, Luo Yi's face changed. No wonder the other party wanted to bet with him. It turned out that he had something to rely on. "Monk, lure those heavenly beasts over." Zichen transmitted his voice to Monk. He found that the deeper he went, the greater the pressure he felt. The size of the world was also getting smaller, so he stopped moving forward. There were too many heavenly beasts here, and everyone was fighting. Naturally, no one cared about him. He wasn't sure if the world would be completely suppressed in the end. Fortunately, he used it now. Monk obviously understood what Zichen meant. He relied on his strong defense and rampaged through some heavenly beasts. After angering them, he quickly returned. More than a dozen heavenly beasts chased after Monk. All kinds of attacks fell from the sky, forming an indiscriminate attack. Monk raised his defense and moved forward in the sky full of attacks. Meteorites and sword rain fell on his body, causing ripples on his defense. Swoosh! A sharp whistling sound was heard, and a sky python's tail came quickly and hit Monk. With a loud tremor, Monk flew into the distance, getting further and further away from Zichen. Damn it! Monk stabilized his body and looked at the sky pythons coming at him. He cursed, and Buddha light surrounded his body. Releasing a strong aura, he held the light shield tightly and rushed forward. A Buddha shadow appeared behind him, causing him to rush forward even faster. He was like a meteorite streaking across the sky, and a shrill whistling sound was heard. Boom! Another sky python's attack fell on him. His body only trembled, and his speed wasn't affected much. However, the figure shrouded in Buddhist light behind him had dimmed a little. Zichen didn't go forward. and he just watched from afar. Luo and the rest were shocked by Monk's strong defense. Boom, boom. More attacks fell on Monk, and the rumbling sound between heaven and earth attracted many people's attention. Seeing Monk's strong defense, everyone was stunned. When the light shadow behind him completely shattered, Monk finally got close to Zichen. Behind him, the sky pythons were also flying fast. Buzz. At this moment, the void vibrated, and a black hole appeared out of thin air, shrouding downward. In the next moment, the sky pythons disappeared. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 2940. These sky pythons were directly enveloped by Zichen's world. After entering the world's rules fell. These rules were negative and had a strong suppressive effect. Their strength, speed, and even defense were reduced to the lowest. Puff! In this world, the doppelganger's high-grade armor burst out with a powerful aura, and the spear light swept across. 5 sky pythons' bodies were directly separated from the middle. Its body twisted in the air and fell to the ground. Blood spurted out and dyed the ground red. After coming to this world, Zichen was the master and had absolute combat power. Although the doppelganger could not control the world's rules, with the help of the real body, it was easy to kill these sky pythons. Puff! Blood splattered, and another sky python was killed. After seeing the dozens of heavenly beasts suddenly disappear, Martin and Lunk's faces changed, and they were shocked. Luo knew that Zichen had a space, but he did not understand how he could bring those sky pythons into the space. How could he kill them? Continue, Zichen said to Tyrant. Okay. Tyrant laughed and flew into the distance. He shuttled through the group of heavenly beasts, and all kinds of collision sounds could be heard. Bang! Energy vibrated, and a 5th-grade heavenly beast was sent flying by Tyrant. The heavenly beast seemed to be in a daze. It shook its head in the air, and after a while, it locked onto Tyrant. A hissing sound. There was an attack fluctuation in the sound. This fluctuation was like countless attacks landing on Tyrant's body, causing ripples. The light shield was Tyrant's biggest reliance. At this moment, he could ignore all the attacks. The Buddha light behind him reappeared, providing him with speed. When the heavenly generals in the distance saw this scene, they were stunned. This guy was wandering in a group of heavenly beasts and did not take the initiative to attack. Was he seeking death? Although his defense was not weak, he could not hold on for long, right? Tyrant could not hold on for long, but with Zichen around, he did not need to hold on for long. In the midst of the turbulent energy, the Buddha shadow behind him exploded. He turned around and flew towards Zichen. This time, he attracted more heavenly beasts, more than 30 of them. Looking at the incoming heavenly beasts, Martin and the others were shocked. How could they kill so many heavenly beasts? Goler some rank 6 over. Before the world enveloped the heavenly beasts, Zichen said solemnly. The monk's body stopped in front of him and then dissipated like a wisp of green smoke. He was already far away. Zichen's world once again enveloped the area. This time, when the black hole disappeared, Zichen also disappeared. In the heavenly jewel world, Zichen stood in the air, looking coldly at the heavenly beasts that had been brought in. A sheathed long saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed forward. Saber intent swirled around as a powerful aura was released, and a heavenly beast was cut in half. In his world, he was the strongest existence. Unless one had the ability to break out of this world, one could forget about leaving after entering. As the blade light slashed out, the heavenly beasts died one after another. Zichen didn't know if it was because he had used too much rule force, but he could clearly feel that the world was shrinking at a faster rate. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before his world was completely suppressed. In just a few moments, Zichen reappeared. All the heavenly beasts in the world had been killed. The monk was still luring the Tier 6 heavenly beasts in the distance. It's too slow. Zichen was worried that it wouldn't be long before his world was completely suppressed, so he wanted to take advantage of the last moment to obtain more resources. The yin-yang energy in his body surged, forming a terrifying wave that spread out. Between heaven and earth, the space was distorted, and one golden light after another fell with the roar of thunder, landing on the Tier 6 heavenly beasts in the distance. This level of attack was not enough to hurt the opponent, but it played the role of attracting attention. The yin-yang light continued to fall from the sky, exploding in all directions. Thunder rumbled, and the roar resounded through the world. The terrifying energy swept out, enveloping many heavenly beasts, and the surrounding god generals were all sent flying in fear. Is this guy crazy? Everyone was shocked, their eyes fixed on the center of the surging energy. Martin and the others were also shocked. At this moment, Zichun had undoubtedly diverted the attention of all the heavenly beasts nearby to him. In addition to many Tier 5 heavenly beasts, there were many Tier 6 heavenly beasts among them. These attacks were not strong, but they were concentrated and annoying. The heavenly beasts were successfully enraged. They all turned around and rushed towards Zichun. The world was filled with a terrifying aura, and this aura shocked everyone. Even Monk retreated far away. His defense was strong, but he could not fight against so many heavenly beasts. A strong wind blew, and a powerful aura shrouded the surroundings. Looking at the incoming heavenly beasts, a smile appeared on Zichun's face. The world opened up, turning into a black tunnel, and the heavenly beasts rushed into it. In the blink of an eye, the pressure between heaven and earth disappeared, and the distorted space returned to normal. The surrounding area was empty, and the nearby heavenly beasts had all disappeared. The surrounding god generals looked at each other, shocked by the opponent's means. In the distance, Drew's eyes flashed coldly, and he retreated. There was only a short silence, and the battle continued, because there were still many heavenly beasts in the distance. In Zichun's world, the heavenly beasts flew in the sky, releasing a powerful aura. All kinds of attacks appeared, destroying everything in sight. Mountains, rivers, and rivers were all turned into nothingness under this attack. The doppelganger rushed into the sky, the armor on his body shining brightly. This time, he did not hold a spear in his hand, but a stone knife. A brilliant flash of blade light swept across the body of a level 6 heavenly beast, and as the scales on its body touched the blade, they shattered instantly. Blood splattered everywhere as the level 6 heavenly beast fell to the ground, dead. Killed in one blow. In another direction, Zichun was killing the heavenly beasts. In such a short time, they had already made up for the heavenly beast inner cores they had to pay. The battle did not last long, because both Zichun and the doppelganger had used their strongest power in this world. The world was getting smaller and smaller, and the power of the rules was getting weaker and weaker. Fortunately, the doppelganger had killed the heavenly beasts first. Otherwise, at the last moment, the rules would not be able to suppress them. After all the heavenly beasts were killed, Zichun returned to this world. At this moment, his world had shrunk to the point where it could not accommodate a single heavenly beast. Obviously, his biggest reliance was gone. When he reappeared, he was shocked to find that they were surrounded. Chapter 29:41. Zichun had collected more than 100 heavenly beasts using the realm since he came here. Among them, there were even some rank 6 heavenly beasts. Everyone knew that he had killed those heavenly beasts using the realm. In this situation where a group of people might not even be able to kill one, they were naturally jealous. Just as they were hesitating, the Blood Scorpion Legion had already made their move. They surrounded Zichun's group, each of them surging with murderous intent. Hand over the realm treasure on you, and the grudge between you and the Blood Scorpion Legion will be written off today. In front of Zichun, a rank 6 spoke. The battle in the distance was still ongoing, but many people's attention was focused here. They were waiting for Zichun's reply, to see how he would respond. Zichun's gaze swept across the surroundings, and he said, "Only 3 rank 6, and you dare to say such big words in front of me. You're quite bold." The Blood Scorpion Legion's rank 6 sneered, "We're not those beasts. Why would we foolishly enter your realm treasure? Without that realm, you're just a rank 5. What can you do to us?" Zichun did not reply. He charged forward directly. All responses could not compare to the display of absolute power. At this moment, the Blood Scorpion Legion was not the only one who had designs on him. Only strength could intimidate. You're courting death. The rank 6 shouted coldly. Divine light surged out from his body. A divine saber appeared in his hand. The divine saber shone brilliantly as it slashed down. An extremely strong pressure appeared in the surroundings. The pressure enveloped Zichun, and his speed was affected. This was the full force of a rank SIXS attack. Its power was terrifying. The rest of the Blood Scorpion Legion did not make a move. Their gazes were fixed ahead, watching the battle. Under the pressure, the rank 5 speed would be greatly affected. His opponent was not wearing armor. Once the saber slashed down, in their opinion, Zichun would be severely injured even if he did not die. The saber slashed down, and an extremely sharp whistling sound was heard. It was as if space was about to split apart. The pressure on Zichun dissipated instantly. Streaks of silver light appeared from his body. A rumbling sound rang out. Heaven and earth shook violently. He clenched his fist and punched out. The sound of thunder seemed to resound in everyone's mind, shaking their souls. Boundless lightning illuminated the surroundings, drowning out the divine light in front of them. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the lightning fist collided with the descending divine blade. Crack! The divine light on the surface of the divine blade was immediately extinguished. The extremely high-quality divine blade broke in the middle and broke into 2 halves. The power of the lightning fist did not diminish, and the light continued to shine as it landed on the armor. Boom! The power of thunder burst out, shattering the mid-grade armor. The power of thunder entered the opponent's body through his fist. The 6th grade divine general was shocked as his body flew backward. His aura weakened as he flew backward. Pong! His body fell to the ground in an arc, and then there was no more sound. He was dead. A rank 6 powerhouse was killed by 1 punch. Moreover, he was killed by a rank 5. The divine generals who noticed this felt their hearts beat wildly, and their eyes were filled with shock. Some were even hit by heavenly beasts because they were in a daze and flew backward with heavy injuries. Seeing their comrade killed with 1 punch, the other members of the Blood Scorpion Legion showed fear on their faces. They retreated without hesitation. Kill! A cold voice rang in their ears. Zichun rushed toward the second rank 6. The monk, demon ape, and Luoyi charged toward the rank 5. Zhang Haoyin's body flashed, and he disappeared into thin air. Luoyi rushed in front of a rank 5 and hit him with his spear. With a boom of energy, the rank 5's mid-grade armor was broken, and his body was sent flying. As he flew backward, a black light flashed beside the rank 5. The black light flashed, and then the powerful aura dissipated in an instant. Seeing the black light disappear, a strange light flashed in Luo Yi's eyes. He was slightly stunned, and then he rushed toward the second opponent. Boom! An even stronger rumble sounded. It was the second 6th rank who was sent flying by Zichun. Zichun used the special thunderbolt power in his body. The powerful force wreaked havoc, and the rank 6 was killed. In everyone's opinion, Zichun's combat strength was extremely strong. It was very shocking that he could kill a rank 6 with 1 punch. In fact, he had consumed a lot of thunderbolt power. The thunderbolt power that had gathered in his body was rapidly being consumed. Fortunately, there were only 3 rank 6 enemies. After he used his powerful deterrence, there would still be some thunderbolt power left. As the last rank 6 was killed by Zichun, the battle on Luo Yi's side also ended. This time, more than 10 members of the Blood Scorpion Legion, including 3 rank 6, were all killed. The battle in the distance was also coming to an end. This did not mean that all the heavenly beasts were killed, but that they had all entered the depths. They weren't here to fight. They were here to find opportunities. When they met earlier, they naturally had to fight. During the battle, many heavenly beasts had entered the depths. Similarly, many divine generals had also entered the depths. They did not waste any time here. Let's go too. After collecting the spoils of war, Zichun and the rest also entered the depths. When the others saw Zichun and the rest following behind them, their expressions changed and they immediately sped up. It was unknown whether they were afraid of their powerful combat strength or worried about being implicated. Although they had easily killed the Blood Scorpion Legion this time, there were more powerhouses in the depths. There were even rank 7 powerhouses. The Blood Scorpion Legion's commander had also come this time. He was in existence with a rank 8 physical body. As they moved forward, even Monk's expression was no longer relaxed. Take these things. Zichun took out some divine rings. These divine rings all contained the spoils he had obtained earlier. He divided the spoils into 4 portions and gave them to Luo Yi, Monk, Devil Ape, and Zhang Haoyin. At the same time, Zichun also took out 2 additional divine rings and gave them to Lunk and Martin. When the 2 of them saw the corpse of the rank 6 heavenly beast in the divine rings, their expressions changed immediately. With their strength, it was impossible to kill a rank 6 heavenly beast. Don't decline. If necessary, I will have to trouble you to protect them. Zichun looked at the 2 of them and said, this time, they had killed the Blood Scorpion Legion in front of so many people. It had indeed intimidated the other forces, but at the same time, they had also thoroughly offended the Blood Scorpion Legion. Therefore, Zichun divided the resources he had obtained. If there was any danger, they could take the resources and leave. Martin and Lunk did not decline and nodded. This time, Zichun had gained a lot. Even if they returned home now, everyone had profited. However, he had other thoughts in his mind. Therefore, he wanted to go deeper and take a look. If there was any danger, he could leave alone. As they moved forward, they would occasionally encounter some heavenly beasts that appeared from the void. Zichun would kill them all. Compared to the other teams, they were at the back. Therefore, they were the slowest. Boom! Suddenly, the space distorted and exploded. A surge of lightning energy surged out from it, wreaking havoc. The 10 or so people around were unable to react in time and were enveloped by the lightning that suddenly appeared. When the raging lightning power dissipated, only a few people managed to escape. The rest were reduced to ashes by the lightning. Upon seeing this sight, the faces of the crowd changed drastically. This is one of the dangers of this place. There is an indescribable power gushing out from the void. It is very terrifying, Martin said, his face pale. The other people's expressions were ugly. This kind of unforeseen event was almost impossible to defend against. It all depended on luck. Their attention was focused on what was happening in front of them, so they didn't notice that Zichun's eyes had lit up. To read the latest novel, please visit the website. Chapter 2942. The previous thunderbolt appeared so suddenly that no one could react in time. Monk and the others felt a strong sense of danger, and their faces turned pale. However, Zichun's eyes lit up. The power of the thunderbolt was extremely strong, almost as strong as the power in his body, and its aura was somewhat similar. In that case, was there a thunderbolt power that could enter the heart here? Let's go. Zichun's eyes flashed as he said excitedly. It's too dangerous. We have to be careful, Martin reminded him. Don't worry. Everyone, follow me. Zichun had a special keen perception of thunderbolts. The others did not notice the previous scene, but his spiritual thoughts had detected the abnormality in advance. The time between the abnormality and the eruption of thunderbolts was enough for him to lead everyone to escape. Seeing that Zichun was full of confidence, they did not say anything and followed him. After moving for more than 10 miles, Zichun suddenly stopped. The power of yin and yang swept out from his body and enveloped them. Whoosh! His body disappeared from the spot. Boom! As soon as their bodies disappeared, the space in front of them exploded. Thunderbolts surged out like a tide, covering an area of hundreds of feet. Thunderbolts raged and thunder rumbled. Cracks appeared in the space there. After 3 breaths, the thunderbolts disappeared. Martin and the others stood in the distance with lingering fear. They turned to look at Zichun and felt very lucky. They felt lucky to have him in the team. Previously, their spiritual thoughts had also spread out in the surroundings, but they did not detect any abnormality in front of them. If it were not for Zichun, they would have died or been injured. The thunderbolt power appeared silently. It was not something that could be avoided by moving forward carefully. Everything depended on luck. It was also impossible to use doppelgangers to explore the way because there would be no abnormality when someone walked past, but the next moment, danger would appear. The reason why we suffered such a heavy loss is because of the terrifying power that erupts from here. Martin said, "These powers are not all thunderbolt power. There are other terrifying powers." It is said that this was left behind from the Great War back then. It was sealed off by one isolated space after another, and it was in a state of balance. However, with our arrival, this space became unstable, causing these powers to erupt. The group continued forward. During this time, Zichen's spiritual sense saw another spatial crack in front of them. This time, the power that gushed out was no longer the power of thunder. Instead, it was a black hurricane. Two of the heavenly beasts were engulfed by the black wind, and their bodies instantly enlarged to several thousand feet in size. They released a powerful aura as they tried to escape. However, it was useless. When the black wind landed on their bodies began to disappear. At the same time, the black wind extended along their bodies. Even if they rushed out of the black wind, they were still not spared. This scene was happening right in front of them. The others also saw it clearly, and their minds were all shaken. After that, they all looked at Zichen with worry in their hearts. Zichen was able to sense the power of lightning because he himself was a lightning-type warrior. However, the black wind clearly did not contain any lightning-type energy. Zichen said, "Don't worry, let's go." Earlier, his soul had sensed the abnormality. When the others heard that, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Just like that, they continued forward. During this time, no one fought. Even when they saw heavenly beasts, they did not attack. The unknown energy could descend at any time. Clearly, safety was more important. Just like that, they continued for several hours. During this time, they had avoided more than a dozen dangers. Finally, they reached the depths. Everyone had gathered here, including the powerhouses who had disappeared earlier. There was a huge battle going on here. The opponent of the battle was a huge beast. Its body was surrounded by a black wind. The black wind was a terrifying attack, just like the power of thunder. When they arrived, everyone felt a terrifying pressure. All the survivors were gathered at the outer perimeter, not daring to step forward. In another direction, the heavenly beasts were all gathered together. There were some high-level heavenly beasts, and some of them were even at the 7th level. Amongst them, the easiest to recognize was the 7-headed heavenly python. They did not attack, just watching from afar. Asterisk bang. Asterisk the energy went berserk, and a blood-red light appeared. The pressure of the heavens and earth grew even stronger. A blood-red light fell from the sky, slashing onto the huge beast. Blood spurted out, and a long wound appeared on the huge beast's body. The black wind around it dissipated a lot. Zichen noticed that the man was wearing a blood-red armor. There was a blood scorpion pattern on the armor. He was the commander of the Blood Scorpion Legion. At the same time, the Divine Legion's commander, Wei Li, attacked. His weapon was a special glove that appeared on the surface of his fist. It released a bright divine light, and he punched the huge beast's body. Wherever his fist passed, the black wind around it was destroyed. The powerful force shook, and the huge beast was sent flying. The other leaders of the other forces also attacked. They displayed their powerful combat strength, and there were more wounds on the huge beast's body. The black wind from before, once touched, would definitely destroy the body. However, these powerhouses could ignore the hurricane. The wounds on the huge beast's body increased. It roared into the sky, and a terrifying aura burst out. An even more terrifying black wind formed on the surface of its body, sweeping in all directions. At the same time, a powerful wave spread out. The nearby leaders were sent flying, and they coughed up blood. Fortunately, their combat strength was very strong. The black wind that landed on them was easily dissolved. Such a scene also caused the crowd to be extremely shocked. "Kill it with all you've got." Wei Li's cold voice sounded. He, who was wearing armor, stood in the air. An even more terrifying aura surged on his glove. He punched, and the bright light of his fist caused the world to tremble. It hit the huge beast's head, and with a loud bang, the huge beast's head caved in. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. After that punch, Wei Li's face was slightly pale. This attack had consumed a lot of his energy. The other leaders attacked one after another. They used all their strength, and all kinds of powerful attacks were displayed. The pressure caused everyone's expression to change again. Divine light wreaked havoc in the sky, and small cracks appeared in the sky. The people in the distance kept retreating. This wave was very strong. Zichun looked forward. This was the first time he had encountered the strongest combat strength in this world. Everyone was at the 9th level, but because of the difference in the realm of their physical bodies, there was a huge gap in their combat strength. Under the continuous attacks, the huge black beast's aura became weaker and weaker. Finally, it collapsed and died. Everyone's expression was extremely shocked. If it weren't for these powerhouses, they would only be on the road to death. After the huge beast died, its body turned into a black wind, and a passage appeared in the black wind. Seeing this passage, everyone was stunned. Could there be an opportunity in the passage? Chapter 29:43. From the beginning to the end of the battle, there was almost no communication between the experts. After the battle, the appearance of the passage seemed to be within their expectations. Just as everyone was wondering if this was an opportunity, they rushed in without hesitation. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing if they should follow in. The passage was surrounded by black wind. If something happened there, they would definitely die. Zichun was also frowning. He could not be compared to those experts who could ignore the black wind. If he was swept by the black wind when he entered, only death would await him. What's more, he had enemies here. At this moment, those from the Blood Scorpion Corps had already noticed them. Their expressions were extremely cold. There were too many people who had witnessed the battle earlier. At this moment, it was not easy to determine who had said it. However, Zichun still saw Drew. He sneered at Zichun from afar. No one entered. They were all very hesitant. Someone moved. It was the Blood Scorpion Corps. However, they did not enter the Black Wind Passage. Instead, they walked in the other direction. That direction was where Zichun and his group were. "Trouble is coming," Devil Ape said in a low voice. "These damn guys. Why are they not thinking of a way to enter the passage? What are they doing here? Are they looking for death?" Monk said unhappily. In fact, he was very anxious because those experts had already entered. Perhaps the good things had already been taken away by them. However, why were these people not anxious? Did they not want the opportunity? In fact, this was not the case. Those who were able to come here were not only strong, but also lucky. Along the way, they had seen their companions die. Therefore, at this moment, even if they saw the passage and knew that the opportunity was behind it, they still did not dare to take the risk. It could be said that they were waiting. They were waiting for those who were not afraid of death to try first. Everyone did not move. When the Blood Scorpion Corps moved, it was very abrupt. Therefore, everyone's gaze fell on them. Some people were slightly startled. Immediately, they understood the reason and sneered. The leader was a level 7 expert. He came to find trouble with Zichun at this time, not only to seek revenge, but also to give him a kind of pressure. Under this pressure, he would make other choices. For example, he would charge into the passage regardless of his life. If Zichun was alone, he would certainly try to do so. But now, his friends were here, so he naturally couldn't let them take the risk with him. The members of the Blood Scorpion Legion didn't walk quickly. Killing intent surged from their bodies as they advanced. It was obvious that they were here to kill. "Damned bastard. Are you trying to force us to get involved?" The monk gritted his teeth as his expression turned extremely ugly. "If you can't do it, then go in," Martin said in a low voice. They deliberately walked slowly, giving Zichun a lot of pressure and giving him time to think. This was the time to consider life and death. Should he be killed, or should he fight for a chance at survival? Everyone was hesitant to move forward. After learning about the enmity between the two sides, they all looked at Zichun's group, waiting for them to lead the way. Obviously, at this time, most people would choose to fight for a chance of survival. Therefore, they were waiting for Zichun to choose to fight for that slim chance of survival. All of this took a long time to describe, but actually happened very quickly. Before Zichun could make a decision, a change occurred on one side of the sky. The void suddenly opened, and waves of powerful aura emerged. A terrifying pressure swept down from the sky. Everyone turned their heads and saw the heavenly beasts that appeared from the void. Among them, The easiest to recognize were the 8-headed heavenly pythons. 2 of them had appeared, but no one knew if they had just appeared or if they had been hiding in the dark for a long time. Naturally, those who could be with the 8-headed heavenly pythons were not weak. The pressure released by these heavenly beasts was even more terrifying than the previous battle. Everyone's heart tightened, and they were terrified. The divine general of the Blood Scorpion Legion, who had been releasing killing intent, had already retracted his killing intent. His face was filled with fear. This was because one of the 8-headed heavenly pythons seemed to have sensed the killing intent. One of the eyes on its head glanced in their direction. This glance was enough to cause great fear to rise in their hearts. Everyone's face was filled with fear, and they stood there, not daring to move. There was no sound in the surroundings, and they were as silent as cicadas in winter. The experts on the Divine General's side had already entered. If these level 8 heavenly beasts suddenly attacked, these people would all die miserably. No one knew if it was because they were ignoring the Divine Generals or because they were too focused on the opportunity, but these level 8 heavenly beasts ignored the Divine Generals. After they appeared, they flew toward the passage in the black wind. As they moved forward, their huge bodies became smaller and smaller, and they successfully entered the passage. In the blink of an eye, all the level 8 heavenly beasts had entered the passage. During this time, the black wind around the passage did not riot, and it seemed to be very stable. Of course, no one dared to try. The experts of the Blood Scorpion Legion, who had retracted their aura and were extremely frightened, now revealed their killing intent again. Obviously, they had to continue what they had not done before. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, there was a flash of brilliance in front of them. The heavenly beasts in the distance had moved. They flew in this direction, heading straight for the tunnel. Their bodies were huge, and as they moved forward, they kept shrinking. Then, they flew toward the passage. The people of the Blood Scorpion Legion stopped again and stared ahead with the others. Swish. The first heavenly beast successfully entered. Swish, swish. The second and third heavenly beasts also successfully entered. Following that, more and more heavenly beasts flew in. During this time, their bodies shrunk, and they retracted all their aura. At this moment, all the heavenly beasts had successfully entered. Although the black wind outside the passage was terrifying, it was very stable. There would not be any accidents. At this moment, no one went forward because the passage was blocked by the heavenly beasts. They could only wait for all the heavenly beasts to enter before it was their turn. What should we do? Tyrant turned his head and looked at Zichun. Zichen's world was getting smaller and smaller. However, it was not a problem to accommodate a few people. However, he was not sure if the world would forcibly close when he entered the passage and throw them out. At that time, facing the black wind, they would only face death. Let's wait first, Zichun said in a low voice. Perhaps the people of the Blood Scorpion Legion would leave directly. After all, the opportunity was very important. At this moment, almost all the heavenly beasts had entered, and the last one had reached the entrance. However, at this moment, something strange happened. The last heavenly beast suddenly surged with energy. This energy rushed toward the passage, obviously wanting to destroy it. Not good. Seeing this, everyone's expression changed. Chapter 29:44. This heavenly beast indeed had the intention of destroying the passageway. Its energy had appeared to destroy the passageway. At this moment, it had already entered the passageway and would disappear in the next moment. It had succeeded in disappearing. Its mournful cry reverberated between heaven and earth. It had disappeared at the entrance of the passageway and not in it. This was because when the energy on its body surged, the previously stable black wind suddenly became unstable. A wisp of it flew out and landed on its body. Even if it could enter the passageway in an instant, it still couldn't enter. Its body was destroyed by the black wind, and its soul let out a mournful cry. Seeing this scene, everyone felt very happy. This was a case of failing to harm others and being harmed instead. It was courting death. The black wind disappeared, and the passageway continued to stabilize. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. That bastard! Zhang Haoyan, who had always been a man of few words, had a cold glint in his eyes. That damned bastard had done this. Not only had he harmed himself, but he had also harmed them. This was because everyone could see that if they were to cause trouble, they would be courting death. Therefore, if someone were to enter the passageway and release a wisp of energy, the black wind would naturally appear. Then, the person who entered would definitely die. Under such circumstances, everyone would be on guard and would deal with the threat in advance. As for them, they would naturally be the first targets of the Blood Scorpion Legion to eliminate. Retreat. Zichun clearly saw this point. His expression became very ugly as he shouted. Light surged on his body. He retreated backward, and the others followed him. Boom, boom, boom. The aura in front of them exploded. Those from the Blood Scorpion Legion were indeed charging towards Zichun. Do you think you can escape? The rank 7 expert's expression was cold. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. After seeing this scene, some people stopped to watch the battle. Some did not stop and flew straight toward the passageway. You guys go. Zichun's body surged with a vibration force, pushing Tyrant and the others away. He wanted to face these people alone. Tyrant and the others retreated far away with Martin and Lunk. They looked ahead, their eyes full of unwillingness. At this moment, a voice came from afar. Martin, Lunk, what are you two doing over there? We have been looking for you for a long time. Our Divine Legion is going to move together. The voice came from Drew with a smile on his face. Martin and Lunk's faces turned ugly. Drew's words clearly excluded Tyrant and the others. It was equivalent to telling the Blood Scorpion Corps that they were outsiders. Sure enough, the existence with the 7th-tier physical body glanced over and said coldly, "Kill them." Not only were there people from the Blood Scorpion Legion, but there were even more from the Mercenaries of God. They might not be familiar with Martin and Lunk, but they definitely knew who they were. If the Blood Scorpion Legion attacked the two of them, they would definitely vent their anger on the entire Divine Legion. Now that Drew had pointed it out, as long as the Blood Scorpion Legion killed others, they wouldn't attack the Divine Legion. Damn it! The demonic ape's eyes were blazing with red light as its aura erupted. It gripped the black stick tightly in its hand. Apparently, it was about to attack. Let's go. Zichun's voice rang out. It was cold, domineering, and irrefutable. He had originally wanted to escape, but now he had returned. He charged directly towards that rank 7. You're courting death. Seeing that Zichun had returned, the 7th realm smiled disdainfully. Light flashed in his hand, and a sword appeared. Swoosh. The sword slashed forward, and the sword radiance pierced through the air. Go to hell. Zichun clenched his fist and mobilized his physical strength. Terrifying lightning surged on his fist. In the previous battle, he had used up some of his physical strength, but it wasn't too much. There was still some energy left in his body. Now, he mobilized even more of his physical strength. A deafening boom resounded. The sword radiance exploded instantly. Zichun's fist pressed forward, shaking off the sword and landing on the chest of the rank 7 Divine General. There was a huge shock of energy. Lightning sputtered out of his chest, and the rank 7 Divine General flew backward. The upper-grade defensive armor on the surface of his body was constantly twisting as if it would shatter at any time. Everyone was extremely shocked that a rank 7 was sent flying with one punch. In the distance, Drew's eyes widened in disbelief. Go to hell. Zichun's eyes flashed coldly. He swept to the side, and a sheathed long saber appeared. He slashed forward with the saber. Yin and Yang's saber radiance surged, and a trace of lightning power gathered in it. The already terrifying saber became even more powerful at this moment. It directly slashed through the body of a rank 5 who couldn't react in time. The middle-grade armor defense on his body was instantly broken. At the same time, the armor broke from the middle. Even his body was separated by the saber. One saber killed a person. Usually, Zichun could easily kill a rank 5, but definitely not so easily. It was so easy now because of the lightning power gathered. That power was indeed extraordinary. Poof, poof. Zichun swung his saber again. Another 2 were killed. He sent a rank 7 flying with one punch, and then killed 3 rank 5s with 3 saber moves. Such terrifying combat power shocked and terrified everyone. Boom. There was a strong shock. A rank 6 who was about to rush towards Zichun was sent flying by a force. Zichun turned his head and saw Monk approaching him. He said unhappily, "Didn't I tell you to leave?" "Leave? Where to?" Monk held the light shield in his hand and rushed toward another rank 6. "It's just a battle to the death. It's not like I haven't experienced it before. Don't be afraid." There was another strong shock. This time, Monk was sent flying. Swoosh, swoosh. Devil Ape and Luo, he also came forward and attacked the people beside them. Zhang Haoyan's figure disappeared in the void. He began to take the initiative to attack. A rank 5's defense was broken, and he was killed immediately. All of them came. Looking at the people fighting, Zichun was very moved. However, this was obviously not a battle that could be won. Because the Blood Scorpion Corps did not consist of 10 or 20 people. It was a corps with hundreds of people. There was also more than one rank 7. After Zichun sent one flying, more people came from afar. The few of them could not possibly be a match for him. Monk and the others were clearly aware of this, but they did not run. What was there to run for? Was it not just a battle? Was it not just a battle to the death, or a battle to the death? It was not like they had never died before. Go to hell. That rank 7 rushed forward again, attacking Zichun. The thunder force in Zichun's body surged wildly. Lightning flashed on the surface of his body, accumulating power for an attack. Boom. The rank 7 was sent flying again. The defense on the surface of his body shattered directly. His eyes were filled with horror. Poof. Zhang Haoyan appeared behind the rank 7 without anyone noticing. The long spike in his hand silently pierced the rank 7's neck. Energy vibrated. Zhang Haoyan coughed up blood and flew backward. The rank 7's aura immediately became sluggish. Slash! Luoi shouted. A divine sword appeared in his left hand. His speed exploded instantly, approaching the rank 7. The sword light flashed and swept across the rank 7's neck. The rank 7's head flew up. After this attack, Zichun's aura immediately became sluggish. The thunder force in his body had been greatly consumed. Go. He could not care about anything else. He swept everyone with his energy and was about to leave. But how could he leave? A few rank 7s appeared around him. Chapter 29:45. The rank 7s came closer and surrounded Zichun's group. Their killing intent surged. Rank SIXS followed them. Rank 5 stood far away, not daring to step forward. The people in the distance were shocked. These people were only rank 5s. Some of them were not even rank 5s, but they could kill a rank 7s together. Martin and Lunk stood not far away. Both of them were very anxious. This is someone else's business. You two better not get involved. Don't bring trouble to the Legion. Drew appeared in front of them and said calmly. Martin took a deep look at Drew. They had met a few times before. Drew was a good person. He did not expect it to be like this time. Obviously, Zichun was in danger. Drew must have sent the message. This time it was true. Maybe it was true in the past. Now, Zichun's group was surrounded by several rank 7s. They might not be able to survive. Under such circumstances, no one would think that Zichun's group had a chance. Although they were shocked by these people's strong combat power, their realms were too low. Zichun, who was surrounded, frowned slightly. He said, "Looks like we have to stop here." The monk said, "So be it." As he spoke, his eyes glanced at the dead rank 7s. If they went back now, they would not lose anything. Of course, it would be better if they could take the spoils. They could leave the rank 5s behind. Obviously, there were good things in the rank 7s, divine rings. At this time, the monk was still thinking about resources. This made Zichun want to laugh. Why would I stop here? Stop forever. You offended the Blood Scorpion Legion. Do you still want to live? A rank 7 said coldly. Zichun, who was indifferent, suddenly changed his expression. Light flashed on his body and spread out instantly, covering the surroundings. Boom. A huge tremor came from behind. Countless thunderbolts surged out and swept forward. This violent thunderbolt was like a flood. It spread to Zichun's side and drowned Zichun. At the same time, those from the Blood Scorpion Legion surrounding Zichun were also drowned. This happened too quickly. It was beyond everyone's expectations. They were extremely shocked. Martin and Lunk looked ahead, their faces full of astonishment. Isn't this luck a little too heaven-defying? Drew was stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. The surging lightning lasted for 3 breaths. After that, the lightning disappeared. A huge fissure appeared where the lightning came from. The power of lightning flickered within the fissure. That crack appeared to be a tunnel. However, the lightning flickering on its surface was very obvious. More people were willing to believe that this was just a crack and had nothing to do with luck. A terrifying suction force emanated from the fissure, enveloping the surroundings and devouring everything around it. The people from the Blood Scorpion Corps had disappeared. The rank 7s and rank SIXS surrounding Zi-chun had all disappeared. Even the corpses on the ground had disappeared. The only thing that remained was a physical space, in which stood Zi-chan and the others. Their faces were pale, and their minds were shaken. This space was Zi-chan's world. At the critical moment, he noticed something amiss and activated his world to protect everyone. In the blink of an eye, his world was struck by countless lightning bolts. The world blocked the attacks, and they survived. As for the rank 7s and rank SXS, they all died just like the lightning bolts they encountered before. Their bodies were obliterated by the lightning bolts, and even their divine rings disappeared. The people around them were shocked. They all stared ahead. Even the rank 7s were dead, but those people were still alive? The people from the Blood Scorpion Corps in the distance looked extremely unsightly. In an instant, more than 80% of their powerful combat power had been lost. The rest were rank 5s, one of them was a rank 7s, and 3 of them were rank SIXS. This loss was too great. He's still alive? Drew was stunned. He was in disbelief. Soon, he noticed something unusual. Although Zi-chun was not dead, he did not leave. Instead, he stood there with the others. Why? Just as he was puzzled, a cry of surprise came from afar. He turned his head and saw rank 5's divine general unable to control his body. He was engulfed by the suction force and was flying toward the fissure. Everyone noticed this scene, so they all stared ahead. The rank 5's divine general kept struggling and shouting for help. His face was full of fear. His energy vibrated, but he could not break free from the suction force. No one helped him. Everyone's eyes were full of anticipation. They all wanted to see if this fissure was the second land of opportunity. If that was the case, it would naturally be an extremely good thing for everyone. Because no experts had entered this place, they would gain a lot if they went in. The struggling divine general seemed to know that it was useless. So, he restrained his energy and wanted to fight for the last time. His body reached the fissure. Lightning flashed, and his body disappeared. The other people's faces changed. They all looked regretful. They could see that the divine general's body was shattered by the lightning. He did not enter the passage. Obviously, it was not an opportunity, but a dangerous place. At this moment, they looked at Zi-chun. He had not left yet. Many people could guess the reason. Zi-chun wanted to leave, but he could not. That devouring power landed in his world, and at this moment, he couldn't even keep his world. He only hoped that the fissure behind him would disappear quickly so that he could regain his freedom. At this moment, a ray of light appeared in the distance. The ray of light came through the air and hit Zi-chin's world. Buzz. The world began to tremble, causing ripples to appear. The people around were stunned. Then, they understood the purpose of the attack. It was a member of the Blood Scorpion Legion who launched the attack. At this time, there was a great enmity between the two sides. They could not let Zi-chun live. Those people stood in the distance, not daring to get close. They kept attacking Zi-chin's world. Zi-chin's world did not move. Under the effect of these attacks, the ripples became bigger. At the same time, the suction force of the fissure caused the world to move backward slowly. Although the speed was very slow and could be called squirming, it would eventually reach the entrance of the fissure. Damn it! In the world, the monk was angry. He shouted, "Let me out. I will kill them. I will die if I go out." No one knew where the fissure led to. Even if the monk had a strong defense, Zi-chun did not dare to let him take the risk. What should we do? Wait for death? The monk looked behind him. Although there was still a distance to the fissure, he would fall in sooner or later. Let's wait and see. Zichen frowned. He felt that the suction force on the world seemed to have weakened. Chapter 29:46. Looking at the crack that was slowly healing, there was an uproar in the surroundings. Looking at the current situation, the crack would disappear before the space was pushed to the crack. There was no doubt that these people would survive. In this way, the Blood Scorpion Legion would suffer heavy losses. Moreover, these people's combat strength was extremely strong. Once they escaped, they would definitely be in danger. The devouring power weakened a little. The Blood Scorpion Legion moved forward slightly, but did not dare to get too close. Another large wave of attacks fell. However, the defense of Zichen's world was very strong, and they could not break it at all. They could only be forcefully pushed away by the energy. As for the original rank 7 and rank 6, they had already left. Even many rank 5 had left. The people who stayed behind also had thoughts of retreating. At this moment, a powerful aura suddenly appeared in the distance. This aura came from Drew. He was a rank 6. Drew, what are you doing? Martin looked at Drew and shouted. Nothing. Drew smiled and restrained his aura again. Before Martin could breathe a sigh of relief, the energy in front of Zichen suddenly became violent, and a giant mountain appeared out of thin air. The surface of the giant mountain flickered with divine light, and with a vast aura, it collided with Zichen's world. Boom! Energy surged, and the earth shook. Zichen's world defense did not shatter, but the world quickly moved backward. It's really him. Seeing this giant mountain, Zichen's eyes flashed with a cold light. The expressions of Tyrant and the others became more and more unsightly. They looked behind them. Although the crack was still shrinking, the giant mountain was attacking them, and they retreated even faster. I'll send you away later, Zichen said in a deep voice. The devouring power in his world was weakening, and he could already control the world. What about you? Everyone looked at Zichen. Zichen shook his head and said, I'm fine. How can you be fine? Everyone's eyes widened. It was obvious that Zichen could not leave. I have a move that might be able to support you for a moment. You can take the opportunity to leave. They understood what he meant and were very touched, but they were also very surprised. They had not known Roy for long, but at this time, Roy clearly wanted to sacrifice himself to help everyone. And when he arrived, Roy took out all his inner cores. They looked at Zichen and wondered where Zichen had brought Roy back. Zichen looked at Roy. Roy said, I've known you for a long time, but you don't know. Zichen stared blankly. He was very puzzled. He didn't know when he had met such an expert. At that time, I was still second on the ranking of generals, and you were just a divine general who had just entered the Black Order battlefield. Back then, I specially went to the Black Order battlefield to see you and watched you enter the spiritual battles world. However, I never expected that in the blink of an eye, you would become the first on the ranking of generals and even come here. Zichen's expression changed when he heard this. He did not expect that there was such a relationship between him and Roy. No wonder Roy was so kind to me when I first met him. Roy, who was second on the ranking of generals, could personally go to the Black Order battlefield to find me. Clearly, it was God's arrangement. Moreover, he thought of Bly when he entered the spiritual battles world. Bly had entered the spiritual battles world to help him. Clearly, he had received Roy's instructions. Roy said, So, I mean no harm. I'll help you leave now. Zichen shook his head and said, No, I'll send you away. Trust me, I'll be fine. He turned his head to look at the crack and said, I want to go in and take a look. Everyone's eyes widened when they heard this. That was a dangerous place. He actually wanted to go in and take a look? I can sense that there's something unusual inside. It might be a dangerous place for others, but not for me. Have you forgotten that I'm Lei Wu? Moreover, I vaguely feel a calling. Zichen's words made everyone look at each other, but they believed him a little. Boom. The mountain was still attacking, and the world retreated even faster. At this moment, they were not far from the crack. Martin and Lunk attacked, wanting to destroy the mountain, but their attacks were blocked by the others. This time, the Blood Scorpion Legion suffered heavy losses. They will definitely vent their anger on you. so don't go any further. Leave this place immediately. In the world, Zichen whispered, don't find trouble with Drew. He's a member of the Divine Legion. When I come out, I'll naturally find him. At this moment, Drew had a smug smile on his face. The mountain kept attacking, and the world retreated even faster. I might be back soon, or it might take a long time. If the Blood Scorpion Legion comes looking for trouble, go find Martin and Lunk. Both of them are people you can befriend. Zichen ordered everything. The others nodded, but their expressions did not look good. Because no one dared to be sure if there was an opportunity inside, Zichen's action, other than wanting to go in and take a look, was more out of helplessness. If it doesn't work, go find a backer. The mercenaries of God are the best choice. The mountain crashed into the world again, and a loud bang resounded through the world. This time, the mountain exploded, and Zichen's world retreated rapidly. More devouring power fell on the world. The world reached the edge of the crack. Boundless lightning flashed, devouring the world. The destructive power continued to wreak havoc. Now's the time. A crack appeared in Zichen's world, leading to an unfamiliar space. Take care. Tyrant and the others entered. Even though they were unwilling, they had no choice. In their eyes, Zichen's world exploded. Boundless lightning enveloped his body. Lightning flashed and wreaked havoc. Everyone seemed to see his body exploding. As the lightning disappeared, the crack also disappeared. He's finally dead. Seeing the crack disappear, Drew's eyes flashed with a cold smile. The other party was too strong. Since he had already offended him, he naturally had to watch him die. Drew, I'll report this matter to Lord Donder, Martin said coldly. Report? Okay, let's see what Lord Donder has to say. Drew said, Zichen got more than 1,000 inner cores, but he only gave you 1/5. Doesn't such a selfish person deserve to die? Even if Lord Donder is there, I'm not afraid. Martin and Lunk turned and left. They were too lazy to deal with Drew. How could such a person join the team? This made them doubt the evaluation standards of the others. They were not the only ones in charge of the evaluation. The disappearance of the crack could not be an opportunity. Everyone left in a hurry. Among them, the Blood Scorpion Legion left the fastest. They had suffered heavy losses, and many of their experts had died. Under such circumstances, their enemies in the past might make other moves. The others entered the Black Wind Tunnel one after another. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. It seemed that he was strangled by the lightning in the crack, but in fact, he was not. He was a thunder martial artist, and he used the power of lightning in his body. He passed through the tunnel easily. He did not know whether he could get an opportunity here. In short, he landed on the ground after passing through the crack. Chapter 29:47. Zichen was surrounded by thunderbolts that kept rumbling like thousands of lightning snakes. Some of them circled around his body, while some entered his body. Zichen's body flashed with lightning and released a powerful aura. However, the lightning could not stop the thunderbolts around him. The thunderbolts that entered his body made him feel pain, and he frowned slightly. Thunder rumbled, and the thunderbolts were like lightning snakes that were wreaking havoc. It looked very terrifying. Zichen subconsciously retreated. After retreating a few steps, he turned around and flew away at an extremely fast speed. He used his spiritual senses to detect that there was no thunderbolts behind him, so he wanted to go there to hide temporarily and carefully explore his surroundings. However, as he moved forward, he was shocked to find that there was always a constant distance between him and the open space. It seemed that as he moved forward, the thunderbolts were also increasing. After a quarter of an hour, Zichen stopped. After flying for so long, he still had not reached the open space. His expression became a little ugly, as if the thunderbolts here were really expanding. He could no longer feel the pain from the thunderbolts around him, and he did not know if he had become numb. During the previous battle, he had consumed a lot of thunderbolts. After using thunderbolts to protect his body for 15 minutes, the power in his body was almost exhausted. After being unable to reach the open space for a long time, the thunderbolts were about to disappear, and he could no longer feel pain. After pondering for a while, Zichen made a decision. This decision was to remove the thunderbolts from his body, because if he did not remove them now, it would disappear on its own later, and it would be very dangerous. Instead of that, it was better to leave some power to guard against accidents. After the thunderbolts were removed, more thunderbolts came to Zichun. With a violent sound, they entered his body. Zichun felt pain again, as if all the muscles in his body were being torn apart by the thunderbolts. This pain made Zichun want to scream a few times. He did not scream because he was in an extremely good mood. The reason why he was in a good mood was that he did not die under the violent thunderbolts. These thunderbolts were extremely terrifying, and they were destroying his physical body. However, while they were being destroyed, his physical body was also repairing itself to adapt to the thunderbolts. It could be said that his physical body was growing and becoming stronger at this moment. Zichun stood there, allowing the power of thunder to wreak havoc until his body had completely adapted to this energy, and there was no more piercing pain. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he could no longer feel any pain. The power of lightning in his body had not increased, but his physical body had become much stronger. Although it was a bit of a pity, this could also be considered an opportunity. As he walked forward, his spiritual senses shrouded the surroundings. After walking for several thousand feet, he stopped. Just like before, it seemed that he would never be able to reach that empty land. Then, he turned around and looked behind him to the front. After a moment of silence, he walked forward. Within the range of his spiritual senses, the open area was always a distance away from him. Just like how the lightning bolts surged when he moved forward, now that he was moving backward, the lightning bolts began to shrink. During this time, the lightning entered his body and strengthened it. Just like that, he slowly walked for several hours. When he estimated that the distance was about the same as the distance he had flown for a quarter of an hour, the surrounding lightning suddenly became violent. His body once again felt the pain. Zichun stopped where he was and waited for his body to adapt. His cultivation method was no longer useful here. The changes in his body were all instinctive. He instinctively resisted the power of lightning and instinctively grew stronger. Zichun quietly felt the changes in his body. Time became a little blurry here because there was no sun or moon, so Xingqiang could judge. His body once again adapted to the lightning here, so he continued to walk forward. During this time, he was always following the open area behind him. It could be seen that the lightning here was really shrinking. At this moment, if one was in this space, they would find that the lightning was changing as Zichun moved. As he moved forward, the lightning shrank. As he retreated, the lightning expanded. Not long after, the pain came again. The power of the lightning here became stronger. Zichun stopped again and waited for his body to slowly adapt. After adapting, he continued to move forward. It was like a cycle, but it was also like stepping into different levels of lightning. He needed to be tested again and again. After his body became stronger several times, other than the lightning, something else finally appeared in front of him. It was a stone. It was oval-shaped but not regular. Its surface released the power of lightning. The lightning here all originated from this stone. Seeing this stone, Zichun couldn't help but recall the time when he had obtained the special power of lightning. Could it be that these two were the same thing? Then, could there be a life form in this stone? He didn't know if there was a life form in this stone, but after careful observation, it was very clear that these two stones were not the same thing. This stone was like a stone of lightning, naturally emitting the light of lightning. And it was a powerful light of lightning. His eyes stared at the stone of lightning in front of him, looking very cautious. At this moment, he could faintly feel a kind of summoning. This summoning came from the stone of lightning. There was nothing unusual around him, only the stone of lightning in front of him. After a slight hesitation, he sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend. At this moment, there was a kind of vigilance in his heart. He was worried that he would encounter a powerful existence like last time. If there really was one, the one in front of him was obviously stronger. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged to comprehend, unaware of the passage of time. Zichun opened his eyes. Although he didn't have an accurate sense of time, he knew that he had been comprehending for a long time. Other than the summoning still existing, there was nothing else unusual. It was obviously not a good idea to continue like this. Zichun stood up and looked at the stone of lightning again, even though he had been looking at it for a very, very long time. After looking at it for a long time, he finally mustered up the courage to step forward. Amidst the roaring thunder, he touched the stone of lightning with his hand. The stone of lightning, which had not changed all this time, trembled slightly at this moment. With a buzzing sound, a strong light appeared on the stone of lightning. The surging violent lightning in the surroundings quickly gathered toward the stone of lightning. After the surrounding lightning disappeared, the lightning on the stone of lightning that was originally flashing also completely disappeared. At the same time, Zichun heard a heartbeat. With a thump, his heart suddenly jumped. His vision blurred, and his consciousness seemed to leave his body and come to another space. He saw a person. To be precise, it was a back view. The current Zichun had already seen too many experts, even heavenly gods. However, after seeing this back view, his heart still couldn't help but tremble. The figure stood there with his back facing Zichun. He didn't look tall, and there was no aura emitting from his body. However, Zichun felt that he was vast and imposing, as if he was the ruler of heaven and earth. Chapter 29:48. Zichun's fate changed in a winter a long time ago. At that time, he still had a best friend called Zhao Can. The two of them went out to search for spiritual herbs. When they were about to reach the spiritual herbs, he was ambushed by Zhao Can and fell off a cliff. He was already dead, but he was resurrected for some reason. He obtained the lightning yuan and was reborn. When he obtained the lightning yuan, an image appeared in his mind. It was a lightning dragon that appeared in his sea of consciousness. It was very terrifying and constantly wreaked havoc. A figure of heaven and earth grabbed the lightning dragon with one hand and turned it into a ball. That ball was the lightning yuan. Zichun never knew what that figure of heaven and earth was. He used to have doubts in his heart, but he gradually put them to the back of his mind. Many years passed. Now, the image of that year appeared in his mind again, because a figure of heaven and earth appeared in front of him again. As he grew up, the shock that this figure brought to him was not as strong as it was in the past. But now, looking at the figure of heaven and earth, he still felt a vast and powerful aura from the figure. The memory of that year surged in his mind again. Were the two of them the same person? Or were they just equally powerful auras? No one answered his doubts. While he was shocked, Zichun's emotions were also somewhat complicated. He seemed to be thinking of the past. At this moment, he noticed that in front of the figure, there was a tree that released lightning. He had never seen such a tree. It was about 10 feet tall, and its roots were intertwined like spiritual pythons. The bark was like scales, and the leaves were of different shapes. Lightning flashed, but there were no fruits on the tree. Occasionally, lightning creatures would appear out of thin air. The figure was staring at the lightning tree. Time stopped, or 10,000 years in a glance. Meeting is fate. 10,000 people have 10,000 fates. Fate rises and falls. Karma is a cycle. I have obtained a fate. Today, I will leave a fate here for the fated person. The voice came from the figure in front. It was a low murmur, but Zichun heard it clearly. He stretched out his hand, and lightning flashed in his palm. He grabbed the lightning tree. Lightning flowed out from between his fingers. In the next moment, he stretched out his hand again. The lightning tree disappeared, and there was a stone that emitted lightning. The lightning stone was very small. He flipped his palm, and the thunder stone fell to the ground. It was very small, but there was a rumbling sound when it landed. After landing on the ground, the thunder stone became bigger and turned into a huge rock. Zichun looked at the lightning boulder, and his expression changed. This boulder was exactly the same as the one he had touched before. The other party looked at the huge rock in front of them and was silent for a long time. Back then, when I was comprehending the Tao in front of the thunder tree, I comprehended a technique. I called it the thunder body. Since I'm leaving today, I'll leave it behind. Zichun heard the other party's voice again, but in the next moment, he saw the other party turn around and look at where he was standing. At this moment, Zichun saw the other's appearance, but he couldn't see it clearly. It was as if there was some kind of law blocking his view. He could only see a pair of eyes that flashed with lightning. It was as if they were looking at him across countless dimensions and countless years. The Thunder Tree cannot exist forever. After obtaining the Thunder Body, search for the Thunder Tree and comprehend the Thunder Technique. The figure disappeared, but Zi-chan was still in shock. The voice just now seemed to ring in his ears. The other party had existed for countless years and disappeared for countless years, but the two of them could look at each other. It was as if the other party had crossed the barrier of time and space, walked from the past to the future, came to him, saw him, and said a sentence to him. That's right, those words seemed to be spoken to him personally. He was very shocked because he could clearly sense that this wasn't an illusion, but something that happened in reality. The figure disappeared, and the surroundings returned to normal. Only the Thunderstone was shining. He walked forward, his heart still filled with shock. It seemed as if the other party had just put down the Thunderstone and he had arrived here. However, there was an incalculable amount of time in between. He sat cross-legged in front of the boulder, closed his eyes, and began to comprehend the things in the boulder. There was lightning in the boulder, and endless lightning flashed. There was a cultivation technique in the boulder called the Thunder Body. Zi-chan, who was sitting cross-legged, could sense the power of the Thunder Body in the Thunderstone. They were wreaking havoc, very violent, and also very powerful. However, there were no life forms here, only the rumbling of lightning. There was no cultivation technique either. He slowly comprehended. This was a very long process. In his heart, the special power of lightning had stopped being transmitted. It was as if all the energy had been used up. He didn't know how much time had passed, but it had been a long time. Zi-chan still had his eyes closed, comprehending in front of the Thunderstone. He didn't move for a long time, as if he had entered a meditative state. The lightning that originally existed in his mind was no longer pure lightning. It began to change, taking on all kinds of forms. Thunder beasts, thunder trees, mountains, rivers, earth. It was manifesting all things in the world, constantly changing. He didn't know how much time had passed, but these manifested lightning became clearer. With a hiss, the lightning turned into a lightning python, dancing in the air, winding and spiraling, as if it was going to transform into a dragon. The dragon's roar resounded through the world, and the lightning python turned into a lightning dragon. It was like the lightning dragon that Zi-chan was familiar with, but also like a strange and powerful existence. The flying lightning dragon turned into a lightning mountain peak. The mountain peak was majestic, and its aura was oppressive, like the highest peak in the world. It turned into all kinds of other things, and sounds resounded. The things manifested by the lightning became clearer and more realistic. During the process of manifesting, this power also became more condensed. It was no longer all over the sky, but slowly merged during the manifestation, turning into a visible ball of energy. Just as Zi-chan still didn't understand what was going on, a law suddenly appeared and landed on the ball of energy. The ball of energy changed again, and then it froze. It turned into a pattern, which was a cultivation technique. There was a circulation route on it, and Zi-chan could see it clearly. When he saw the cultivation technique, he naturally tried it out. Just as the cultivation technique was circulating, a new power emerged in his heart. This time, it was different from before, where he couldn't control it. This time, the energy was controllable. At the same time, the energy that the cultivation technique turned into entered his body and began to change his physical body. This was the lightning body. It was a very ordinary name that didn't sound impressive at all. However, the lightning power condensed from the lightning body was extremely terrifying, as though it was low-key and restrained. This power exceeded the power of the perfect body formed by the heavenly book. It was as though it didn't exist in this world, as though it was a power that came from outside this world. After obtaining the lightning body cultivation technique and lightning filling his body, Zi-chen's body became stronger. If his body was previously at the 5th grade, it had now become a 6th grade or even higher. Chapter 29:49. Monk, come out. A cold voice came from outside the hall. It was Drew's voice. He looked at the castle in front of him, a cold light flashing in his eyes. What's the matter? After a while, a faint voice came out. Monk came out and glanced at Drew. The intelligence team has found something. It's your turn. Drew snorted and said sarcastically, "You're so lucky. We can't even go on missions these days. Our resources are almost used up, but you go out one after another. You're so lucky." Monk glanced at Drew and said, "No, our men are seriously injured and haven't recovered yet." Drew sneered, "This is the Legion. How can you say no? But if you don't want to go, you can ask Miss Su Mingyao to find Sir Donder. Sir Donder appreciates and loves Miss Su Mingyao. I believe it's possible." Monk's face became gloomy. "Drew, do you know why Lord Xing still lets you live even though you're so annoying?" A cold light flashed in Drew's eyes, and he said, "Everyone knows this. Because Lord Drew is a level 7, powerful enough." Monk said, "Level 7 is not the main reason why Lord Xing lets you live. Zichun said he would come back and kill you. That's why Lord Zeng lets you live until now." When they were talking, cold light flashed in their eyes. They both wanted to kill each other, but they couldn't. Monk smiled faintly. "You don't have to look at Lord Zeng like that. Everyone knows Lord Zeng's kindness." Drew dared not show weakness and said, "No wonder you wear a turtle shell all day. It turns out that you're waiting for that guy. But he's been dead for hundreds of years. Don't you think it's ridiculous to pin your hope on a dead man?" Yes, it had been hundreds of years since the Legion went to explore the ruins in the depths. At that time, all the experts of the major forces went in. When they came out, they were all seriously injured, and several level 8 experts died. Wesley, the commander of the Divine Legion, was seriously injured. After he came out, he had been in closed-door training. Blood Scorpion and other commanders were also seriously injured. They didn't show up in the following hundreds of years. No one knew what happened at that time. There were only some unverified rumors. Drew had also obtained the opportunity to break through to rank 7 that time. Not long after they left the ruins, they were discovered by the Blood Scorpion Corps. Faced with such a large force like the Blood Scorpion Corps, they could only find Martin and Lunk. Martin and Lunk naturally would not reject them. In fact, they did not even go through the assessment and allowed them to join the army directly. After that, these people formed an independent team and acted according to the information they had gathered. After that, they would be allocated according to the resources. The Blood Scorpion Legion had suffered heavy losses last time, and their Legion commander was heavily injured. Even if they wanted to cause trouble, they wouldn't dare to come to the Divine Legion. In the beginning, everything went smoothly. Tyrant and Zhang Haoyan successfully reached the 5th stage, while Roy, Monster Ape, and the others reached the 6th stage. In the Divine Legion, everyone knew that this team was full of experts. Most importantly, there were many great beauties in this team. This situation continued until 100 years ago. At that time, the Divine Legion discovered a large ruin and wanted to enter to investigate. Martin fought for the opportunity for everyone, but when everyone was about to enter, Su Mingyao told them that it was too dangerous and stopped them. At that time, Donder was personally in charge of this place. Su Mingyao's words were passed to Donder. In the face of opportunities, there would naturally be losses. Every time someone explored a ruin, there would be some casualties. He didn't care about it. As a result, the Divine Legion suffered heavy losses in that exploration, even greater than the previous one. Su Mingyao and her team didn't enter that time, so naturally, no one was killed. After that, Donder sent someone to invite Su Mingyao. As the second in command of the Divine Legion, Su Mingyao naturally couldn't refuse. After that meeting, Donder expressed his appreciation for Su Mingyao and invited her to join his team. However, Su Mingyao refused. After that, Donder came twice. Of course, it was an invitation, and of course, it was a refusal, even if it was tactful. After that, their luck came. They went out to hunt heavenly beasts continuously. Although the harvest was not small, there were more and more injured people. Some even had to go out with injuries. Donder never came again, as if it was just a whim. Tyrant glanced at Drew and said, "Don't blame Lord Zeng for not reminding you. Enjoy yourself while you are still alive. Otherwise, when Zichun comes back, it will be too late for you to regret." "It's been hundreds of years. He can't come back." Drew sneered and said, "Now, what you should worry about is whether you can come back alive. Remember, go to the intelligence personnel and ask for information." After Drew left, Tyrant's face became cold and stern. Luo Yi and Monster Ape stood behind Tyrant. Their faces were also gloomy. Tyrant, go and ask for clues. Su Mingyao's voice came from the main hall. We'll continue the mission. Tyrant went to look for information, while Monster Ape and Luo Yi returned to the main hall. There were not many people in the team who could be used this time. Longhu and the others had not recovered from their injuries last time, so naturally, they couldn't go out this time. There were only a few people in their prime. Looking at their gloomy faces, Su Mingyao said, "Don't worry. We'll be fine." When Zichun was not here, Su Mingyao was the absolute backbone. She used to be in charge of all the affairs of the Wuji sect, so she was very handy. Everyone looked at Su Mingyao with strange expressions. She rarely spoke with certainty, and every time she spoke with certainty, there was a meaning behind it. Su Mingyao said, "Although I can't divine Zichun's situation, I can still divine our own situation. We won't be in danger." Su Mingyao's Tao of divination was extraordinary. It was her decision last time that saved everyone from losses. Even Tyrant, who had always been greedy and didn't take Zichun's words to heart, believed Su Mingyao without a doubt. Hearing Su Mingyao's words, everyone was relieved. Not long after, Tyrant came back with a gloomy expression. There are a few injured 6th-class heavenly beasts. The exact number is unknown. They are a little far away, so they won't be able to come back in a short time. Su Mingyao said, "Don't worry. You can go. Leave this to us." But Tyrant was a little hesitant. "I'll stay," Luo Yi said. "No need. No one can do anything to us." Su Mingyao said, "We don't have the power to kill the enemy, but we can definitely protect ourselves." In the end, Tyrant, Luo Yi, Lei Ting, Xing Chun, Devil Ape, and Zhang Haoyan left. "Brother Devil Ape, your armor is done." At this moment, a voice came from behind. Kong Imo came to the hall. Kong Imo was holding a set of armor in his hand. The armor was black, and the scales on it were polished very evenly. The lines were connected together, and it was dark and shiny. Devil Ape reached out to take the armor. It was cold to the touch. The scales covered the surface of the armor, but they weren't stiff. A familiar aura came from the armor. The reason for this feeling was that the armor was tailor-made, and it was integrated with Devil Ape's energy and blood. With a flash, the armor disappeared from Devil Ape's hand, and he put it on. There was no need to refine it deliberately. The armor had become one with him. Kongamo said, "I'm still lacking in proficiency. This armor is only slightly stronger than a high-grade armor, but it's still far from being tailor-made." This wasn't the first set of custom-made armor that Kongamo had made. It was the third set. The first set was with Iqian, and the second set was given to Su Mingyao. The first two sets were just attempts. The skills weren't perfect, and they mainly focused on defense. The set before his eyes was a combination of attack and defense. Chapter 2950. The 6 of them left. Following the clues given by the informant, they went deeper into the ruins. This was the disadvantage of joining the army. Even if you knew that someone was targeting you, it was not easy to leave. Looking at the current situation, if they wanted to protect themselves, besides waiting for Zichun's return, they had to make themselves stronger. As they moved forward, Martin said, "This time, I specially asked around. That place is close to the depths. There might be changes. We should be careful." After the 6 of them left, Martin and Lunk followed. The 2 of them had also advanced to the 6th level. They no longer took on the task of assessment and began to fight with the army. Martin was also the captain. These years, the 2 of them had taken great care of everyone. This time, when they heard that they were going out again and that there were many injured people, the 2 of them did not hesitate to follow. As they moved forward, Martin did not mention Zichun's name because he felt that it was taboo. However, from the eyes of Monk and the others, he could see that they still believed that Zichun was not dead and were waiting for him to return. However, hundreds of years had passed, and the ruins had disappeared without a trace. Could Zichun still come out? Along the way, they deliberately avoided this problem. 7 days later, they arrived at the marked place. This place was close to the depths and was very dangerous. At the marked place, they did not find any heavenly beasts. However, they encountered them 100 miles to the west. There were a total of 3 6th-level heavenly beasts, and all of them were injured. For everyone, it was not dangerous. "Let's end this quickly," Monk said coldly. His body flashed, and he took the initiative to rush forward. In all the battles, Monk was the first to rush forward. His body shone with Buddhist light. The light shield released a strong light and hit a 6th-level heavenly beast. Bang! The energy vibrated. The 6th-level heavenly beast was sent flying by Monk. His body also flew back in the air. "Let me." Luoi held a long spear and rushed forward to fight with the 6th-level heavenly beast. Bang! Then, Monk sent the second 6th-level heavenly beast flying. Lei Ting and Xingchen flashed forward. "Demon Ape, you guard the surroundings. Lunk and I will deal with this one." As Martin said this, he and Lunk rushed forward. 3 6th-level heavenly beasts, 3 battlefields. Monk wandered around the 3 battlefields, ready to provide support. Zhang Haoyan's body flashed and disappeared. The battle continued. Powerful shockwaves surged, spreading to an extremely distant place. The demonic ape scanned its surroundings, its blood-red eyes filled with indifference. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. Light appeared on the horizon, and a powerful aura emerged. "Not good. Other heavenly beasts are coming. Let's go." The demon ape shouted out loudly. They were so close to the inner regions, and the shockwaves from the battle were huge, and it was inevitable that other heavenly beasts would be attracted. The others also noticed the aura in the sky, and their expressions changed. There were at least a dozen heavenly beasts in front of them, and their auras were all at the 6th stage. Roy said in a deep voice, "Let's go." As soon as they turned around, they saw that other heavenly beasts had also appeared, and they were surrounded. Not good. The few of them had ugly expressions on their faces. As soon as the fight started, other heavenly beasts had appeared from all directions. This was clearly a plot. However, it was unclear whether this scheme was the work of the heavenly beasts or the divine generals. "Kill our way out," Tyrant shouted as he rushed towards the periphery. Relatively speaking, it was easier to escape in that direction. Boom! In the midst of the collision, the golden light rippled out in all directions, and the heavenly beast was sent flying. The other heavenly beasts in the surroundings rushed forward. Powerful shockwaves swept across the sky as all kinds of attacks drowned out the monk. Swoosh! The demonic ape was wearing a custom-made armor. Its body shone with black light as it rushed forward with a black staff in its hand. The black staff in its hand lit up, and the lines on it were clearly visible. The black staff in its hand smashed down. The black staff whistled as it hit a heavenly beast. Boom! The void shook violently, and a terrifying aura surged. The crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. A heavenly beast's head was smashed as it was sent flying. This was the combat power of a heavenly beast, with the help of a custom-made armor. It flew towards the heavenly beast like a bolt of black lightning. The attacks that spread towards it were easily neutralized by the armor. Energy was activated, and the lines on the armor lit up, releasing a powerful aura. Boom! Another blow came down, and the demonic light scattered. The heavenly beast shrieked and fell to the ground. Clearly, with the help of the armor, the demonic ape now had the strength to wipe out heavenly beasts. On the other side, Roy and the others also joined forces to deal with the other heavenly beasts. The heavenly beasts in the distance were very fast. Before they could escape, they had already surrounded them. "Everyone, save your strength," the demonic ape shouted. It turned into a bolt of black lightning and wandered around the battlefield. The heavenly beasts that it came into contact with were all sent flying. At this moment, only the demonic ape and the monk could escape easily. It was obviously very difficult for the others to leave. Since they could not leave, they would kill. The demonic ape attacked fiercely. The armor that Kangamo gave him before he left greatly increased his combat power. On the battlefield, he was the main killer. An hour later, the battle ended. Cracks began to appear on the demonic ape's brand new armor. It was unknown how many years Kangamo had spent refining the battle armor, but it was damaged in just one battle. It was not that the armor was not strong enough, but the battle was too fierce. Fresh blood dripped down the armor, and it was a ghastly sight. Roy's aura was very weak, and Martin and Lunk were also seriously injured. Zhang Haoyan's injuries were very serious, and he had used up all his energy. He could no longer hide. Lei Ting and Xingqian were the same. The monk's defense was forcefully broken through due to the lack of energy. As a heavenly beast, his injuries were even more serious. This was because most of the time, he was used to block the attacks for everyone. Everyone was seriously injured, but the price was the corpses of the heavenly beasts. There were too many heavenly beasts. Among them, there were only a few heavenly beasts at rank 5 and many at rank 6. There were no rank 7 beasts. This was a huge gain, but it was also very dangerous. If more heavenly beasts came at this time, what awaited everyone would be death. "We have to leave this place," the demonic ape said in a low voice. Among the group, he was the only one who was in a good condition. Just as everyone was preparing to move, rays of light suddenly appeared in front of them. The rays of light turned into human figures. After seeing the armor on them, everyone's expression changed. "Not bad." The leader smiled faintly. He glanced at the few who were seriously injured and weak. His eyes flashed with undisguised killing intent. On his armor, there was a blood scorpion pattern. The people who came were from the blood scorpion corps. There were more than 10 of them, and they were obviously enemies. In their current condition, there was no chance for them to fight. Only death awaited them. Of course. Chapter 29:51. As the light flashed, a figure appeared in front of them, standing indifferently. Before seeing the person, the severely injured devil ape and the others were shocked when they heard the voice. This voice was too familiar. They had been waiting for a long time, and it had finally appeared. The moment they saw the figure, their eyes lit up. The despair and anger that had just risen in their hearts disappeared at this moment. A smile appeared on their faces as they stared at the people of the Blood Scorpion Legion in front of them. Since the other party had appeared, the danger naturally did not exist for them. He really came back. Martin and Lunk's eyes were filled with surprise. Zichun looked at the divine general of the Blood Scorpion Legion in front of him and said indifferently, "What a coincidence. You're not dead?" The divine general stared at Zichun, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Behind him, a few people's expressions changed, and some others were puzzled. It had been a few hundred years since the last trip to the ruins. There were some newcomers in the Blood Scorpion Legion, but not everyone had seen Zichun before. "You're all still alive. Why should I be in a hurry to die?" A cold light flashed in Zichun's eyes. After obtaining the Thunder Body, he had absorbed the energy in the Thunder Stone. After that, the space became unstable, and he broke open the space and walked out. At first, he was still uncertain about the direction, so he released his spiritual senses to find a reference point. However, he could not find a reference point until he released his spiritual senses and felt the fluctuations of a battle. He spread his spiritual senses in the direction of the fluctuations and saw the people fighting with the heavenly beasts. He was very surprised. He did not know how long it had taken to comprehend the Thunder Body, but he was very satisfied with everyone's growth. At this moment, the battle had ended. Just as he was about to move forward excitedly and greet everyone, he found the people of the Blood Scorpion Legion. Thus, he did not hesitate to open his world and use it to teleport in front of everyone. Looking at the many corpses on the ground, Zichun asked, "What's going on?" "We've been tricked," Devil Ape said. "Who?" Zichun's voice turned cold. "I'm not sure. Heavenly beasts had intelligence as well, and there had been instances of them scheming against divine generals before. Without any evidence, it was hard for anyone to make a judgment." Zichun looked at the members of the Blood Scorpion Corps and said, "My appearance is a coincidence. You guys shouldn't be, right?" There were coincidences in the world, but there were definitely not many of them. He had just been tricked by a group of heavenly beasts. How could he possibly have just ended the fight and now face another group of enemies? The divine general standing in front was a rank 7. He was also the last rank 7 to survive after entering the ruins last time. His expression turned cold as he shouted, "Kill him!" Those few rank 6 existences who knew of Zichun's strength were somewhat hesitant. They did not act immediately. On the other hand, Those who were not aware of this rushed towards him. A fierce light flashed in Zichen's eyes. He clenched his fist and lightning appeared on it. This was the light of lightning contained in the lightning body. It was the power of the lightning body. Zichen didn't know if this power came from beyond the heavens, but he knew very well that the power of the lightning body was stronger than the perfect body. The cultivation technique was even stronger than what was recorded in the heavenly book. A powerful aura appeared in front of him as a fist wrapped in divine light approached him. The person who threw this punch was a rank 6. He was a newcomer and had never seen Zichen before. At this moment, he wanted to show off in front of the captain. Therefore, he was the fastest and his attack was the first to arrive. His punch carried an explosive aura and was filled with a destructive aura. Before the punch arrived, the wind from the punch had already arrived. The force whistled over, lifting Zichen's robes. The divine light reflected on his cold face. The strong light suddenly intensified as endless lightning appeared on Zichen's body, making his cold face appear somewhat ferocious. The lightning drowned out the divine light as a loud boom sounded. A strong wave spread out in all directions. The other people who had rushed forward were pushed back by this wave. The rank 6 who was fighting with him also retreated. Zichen stood in place and looked indifferently at the retreating rank 6. The rank 6 retreated hundreds of feet, his eyes fixed on Zichen. The other party's strength was not weak, but it was not very strong either. At least he did not feel that he was no match for him. At this moment, a cry of surprise came from behind him. He turned around and found that the people who had not attacked before were all looking at him, their eyes filled with horror. He was very surprised. Did he look very scary? So he felt a little proud. But soon he realized that something was wrong. So he lowered his head and looked at his body. He saw that the surface of his body was no longer surrounded by divine light, but lightning. At the same time, his body was disappearing under the lightning. He wanted to raise his palm, but then he found in horror that the palm that he had clenched into a fist to attack had disappeared at some point. His body did not feel any pain, but it was disappearing. He cried out in horror. Buzz. In his awareness, divine light shone. His spirit wanted to rush out, but he found that the space of his awareness was also sealed by the power of lightning, and his spirit was also disappearing. When the others around saw this scene, their faces showed horror and they subconsciously retreated. The devil ape and the others were also very shocked. What kind of power was this? How could it be so terrifying? Looking at the rank Thex's body disappearing, Zichen shook his head and sighed. Your strength is not weak, but I still can't grasp the size. Everyone was a little dizzy. He killed the person with one punch, and he was still not satisfied? Yes. The rank 6 disappeared. His physical body, armor, and divine ring all disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but think of the power of lightning that they had seen in the ruins. It also disappeared after falling on them. Could it be that the other party had mastered that kind of power? The rank 7 was shocked. If the other party had really mastered that kind of power, then he was definitely no match for him. So he turned around and tried to escape. Can you escape? A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. With a speed that was almost like teleportation, he appeared in front of the other party. Get out of my way! The rank 7 shouted and slashed down with his saber. His divine aura completely erupted. Boom! Zichen's fist landed on the saber. The saber shattered immediately. At the same time, the fist light pressed forward and landed on the other party's chest. The upper armor on the other party's body began to distort violently. The defense shattered instantly. His body flew backward. Thunder surged on the surface of his body. The upper armor disappeared in the thunder light. At the same time, a trace of thunder entered the rank 7's body, destroying the other party's vitality. One punch killed a rank 7. Looking at the rank 7's body that did not disappear, Zichen breathed a sigh of relief. If he made people disappear with one punch every time, although it looked spectacular, the loss would be too great. Even now, he still lost a set of upper armor. Zichen's speed was comparable to teleportation. His combat strength was also terrifyingly powerful. Except for a few who fled far away, the others stopped, terrified. Buzz. Zichen's body disappeared from the spot. After a few flashes, he returned to the same place. Those who fled were all killed. Coming closer again, looking at the people in front of him, Ziqian said, "Now you should tell me whether this is a coincidence or not." "Sir, please spare our lives. We came here because we received the news," a rank 5 said in horror. "Who spread the news?" Ziqian asked. "We don't know. It's said that it came from the Divine Legion." Ziqian looked back at Monster Ape and the others. Chapter 2952. Devil Ape and the others had joined the Divine Legion for a long time. After hearing what had happened, Ziqian's expression changed slightly. He didn't expect that it would take so long to comprehend a thunder body. He waved his hand. As if they had been pardoned, they bowed respectfully and left. These people were all new to the Blood Scorpion Legion. They had never seen Ziqian before, and there was no grudge between them. Therefore, when they saw Ziqian kill the 7th-rank captain with one punch, they were too scared to run away. As for those who ran away, they were all old people who had seen Ziqian before. Some of them had even participated in the previous incident. "Heal your wounds first," Ziqian said, looking at everyone who was seriously injured. "No, we have to go back quickly. I suspect that something bad has happened to everyone." Roy seemed a little anxious. "Something bad can happen in the Legion?" Ziqian asked, frowning. Devil Ape had only said that he had joined the Legion and didn't say anything else. He didn't have time to say it. Seeing everyone's anxious expressions, Ziqian guessed that there must be something else. Therefore, without hesitation, he opened the world and took everyone in. "Roy, tell me the location." Ziqian's voice sounded. At this time, his real body was teleporting with the help of the world. He could see tens of thousands of miles away. The doppelganger appeared and stood next to them, listening to what had happened in the past few hundred years. Then, the doppelganger transmitted the information to the real body. "Donder." A cold light flashed in Ziqian's eyes. "What's Donder's realm?" the doppelganger asked Martin. "8th rank," Martin said. He felt endless coldness in Ziqian's voice. He was surprised, that was all. He and Lunk used to admire Lord Donder very much. However, what he had done in the past few years was really not admirable. Perhaps it had nothing to do with him, and it was his subordinates who made the decision. However, he must have known about it and never asked about it. Ziqian's expression became increasingly cold. He didn't expect things to be like this. However, he faintly felt that something was wrong. The castle Su Mingyao and the others lived in was refined. It was a spatial treasure and could be taken away at any time. Although they were in the army's encampment, they were in a relatively remote place and did not usually interact with others. Monk and the others went out to carry out the mission while Su Mingyao and the others stayed here. During this time, Su Mingyao spread out her spiritual thoughts. Although it was impossible for danger to occur here, because no one dared to make a move against the First Legion, they still had to be on guard. "Sister, are you in danger?" Shuelin came to the front of Su Mingyao and looked at her worriedly. Su Mingyao gently shook her head and said, "This area has an influence on the qi dynamic. The derivation will be hindered." After coming here, she rarely made deductions because every time she made a deduction, there would be an indescribable force interfering, unless it was something extremely obvious. For example, the last time they went to the ruins, the heavenly mystery seemed to have been affected, causing her deduction to become extremely clear. Because of that, she sensed a strong sense of danger and decisively stopped everyone. A few days ago, she had divined again, and the heavenly secrets were affected again. When Tyrant and the others left, she tried to deduce again, but she still couldn't see clearly. She only saw a blurry image in the end. The people in the image were Tyrant and the others. Other than that, there seemed to be an invisible light. When she saw the light, the heavenly mystery was covered again. After that, she couldn't see anything. She tried again, but it was still to no avail. Although this place didn't seem to be dangerous, Su Mingyao still couldn't calm down. 3 days after Tyrant and the others left, the heavenly mystery dissipated a little, and Su Mingyao didn't seize the opportunity. Not long after, a person stopped at a mountain peak more than 10 miles away from the castle. Master Su Mingyao. He sat down with his legs crossed, and his spiritual sense enveloped the surroundings. A spiritual sense extended here and said, "What's the matter?" "I'm Kale." Before Master Martin left, he instructed me to inform you in advance if there are any changes in the Legion. Kale transmitted his voice to the void. "We received news that we have to leave tomorrow to explore a ruin. How many people are going?" Su Mengyao asked. "Everyone in the station will be going." "When did this happen?" "It's been an hour, and I haven't had a chance to come out." "I got it. Thank you." Retracting her spiritual sense, Su Mengyao opened her eyes. A ray of light flashed across her beautiful eyes. "Xian Wang Xian walked out of the room, her clothes fluttering in the wind. Su Mengyao instructed, "Use the sword domain to protect the castle. Don't let anyone find out." Wang Xian's red lips opened slightly. She was a little surprised, but she didn't ask. The 8 sword ancestor steels disappeared from her side one by one. "Is there danger?" Wang Xian asked after the sword ancestor steels disappeared into the void and the sword domain could be activated. "I'm not sure yet, but I'll know later." The next step was to wait. The injured were still healing, and this incident didn't alarm them. The next day, the Divine Legion retreated, but Su Mengyao and the others didn't receive any news. On this day, the entire Legion was empty, and only Su Mengyao and the others were left. On the third day, a group of strangers arrived. Seeing this group of people wearing general armors and black robes, Su Mengyao knew danger was coming. Wang. With a slight vibration, the sword domain appeared. A ray of light appeared outside the castle, protecting it. In the castle, everyone felt a pressure and opened their eyes. After a while, Yi Qian, Li Ai, Mingyu, Brilliant, Lin Shui, and Sheng Guanyu arrived at the hall. Wang Xian and Su Mengyao had arrived long ago, and the others were still healing. "Sister, what happened?" Lin Shui asked. "Enemies are coming. Use the sword domain to block them. Everyone, get ready for battle." Su Mengyao looked at the few of them and said. Everyone nodded, and there was no fear on their faces. Although they were women, they were all experts to have made it this far. Among them, Li Ai had the sky-piercing needle, and Wang Xian had the sword domain. Brilliant and Ming Yu were no weaker than Lei Ting and Xing Chan. The others also had their own means, and their combat strength wasn't weaker than those who left. It was just that they didn't fight much in the past few years, giving others the illusion that they were weak. Suddenly, ripples appeared in the hall, and the black-robed men outside started attacking the domain. Su Mengyao walked out of the hall, and the others followed behind her. Through the light shield, she looked at the black-robed men, and her line of sight moved slowly. 10 rank, 6 and 4 rank, 7. They are well prepared. The black-robed men outside saw Su Mengyao and the others through the domain, and the frequency of their attacks increased. Su Mengyao and the others stood in front of the castle. The sword domain was formed by 8 sword ancestral steels, and its defense was extremely strong. After 4 hours of continuous attacks, the domain started to distort. A ray of light flashed across Su Mengyao's eyes. "Xianer, remove the domain. Let's attack directly." After 4 hours, they had consumed a lot of energy, and Su Mengyao decided to take the initiative. At this moment, a ray of brilliance appeared behind the crowd. Chapter 29:53. Zichen followed Roy's instructions and used world teleportation. His speed was extremely fast. They flew for several days, but Zichen only used a very short time. Everything happened just in time. His figure appeared. He saw the domain of swords and the people inside through the domain. Su Mengyao stood at the front. She was wearing a set of armor, which was extremely rare. The armor was a light armor, and it perfectly outlined her graceful figure. Behind her, Zichen saw the other women. Everyone was very happy to see him. Zichen smiled. He was naturally happy to see everyone safe. He released his spiritual senses. Except for the castle in front of him, the encampment was empty. Zichen certainly did not believe that this was a coincidence. The 14 black-clothed men in front sensed that someone had appeared and turned around one after another. There was a hint of doubt in their exposed eyes. Obviously, there was no information about this person in the intelligence they had received. "Everyone is a guest. Don't leave." As Zichen said this, His figure flashed and rushed toward a rank 7. A cold light shot out from the rank 7's eyes. The aura on his body completely erupted. The black robe on his body was instantly torn apart, revealing the high-grade armor inside. In other directions, powerful auras surged. It was the 3 rank 7 and 10 rank 6. They all shattered the black robes on their bodies, revealing their strongest auras. Divine light lingered, and powerful auras surged all around. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The next moment, they rushed towards Zichun. All kinds of powerful attacks shrouded the world, blocking all paths of Zichun. Facing these attacks, Zichun's expression did not change. Lightning surged on his body. One attack after another landed on his body and exploded, causing no harm to him. In other words, he directly used his body to crash into those attacks without any damage. The pupils of the surrounding divine generals instantly shrank, and their expressions changed. They felt extremely incredulous. How could a person without armor have such powerful defense? In the sky full of attacks, Zichun broke through a gap and arrived in front of the rank 7. The rank 7 roared angrily and slammed his palm down. Above the palm print, divine light surged, and the lines were activated. A terrifying aura fell on Zichun, bringing with it a frightening pressure. Facing this kind of pressure, Zichun didn't seem to have any reaction. He just punched out. The lightning-infused fist landed on the palm print. Following a powerful shockwave, the palm print exploded. The fist was still strong. The lightning on the surface of the body did not seem to have any wear and tear, landing on the rank 7. Rank 7's expression was cold and harsh. He did not think that the other could destroy this high-quality armor. There was a loud boom. The defense of the armor shattered in an instant. A ray of lightning rippled in all directions, and this rank 7's body flew backwards. As he flew backward, the armor on his body was visibly destroyed, and the power of thunder entered his body. This rank 7 coughed up blood and fell to the ground, his aura quickly fading away. At this moment, the other attacks landed on Zichun, but Zichun didn't move. He activated his lightning physique, and boundless lightning swept out like a tidal wave, engulfing the attacks. The sound of thunder was deafening. One by one, figures flew out from it. Those who appeared had a face full of horror. Looking at the armor defense on the surface of their bodies, it was all shattered. There were even a few people's armors that were disappearing under the destruction of the lightning. Fortunately, they were all still alive and did not die like the rank 7 from before. Through the field of swords, after the girls saw Zichun's powerful combat strength, they were shocked but also very excited. This kind of powerful combat strength that could kill a rank 7 with one punch was enough for them to gain a foothold in this area. They no longer had to fear the Blood Scorpion Legion. It was time for them to leave the Divine Legions. Compared to the excited girls in the field, the people outside the field of swords were cold. They couldn't see through the opponent's strength, and most importantly, it was too terrifying. "Let's go," Rank 7 shouted and turned to leave. If they didn't leave now, they would all be killed. Obviously, the news was wrong, and it was not their fault. "Those who come are guests. Why should you leave?" Zichun's voice was very cold. His figure rushed forward again, toward the second rank 7. At the same time, the god's avatar appeared, holding a long spear and wearing a high-grade armor. He rushed toward those people. Lightning flashed on the surface of his body from time to time. It was not that he had mastered the lightning, but that he was using it to temper his body. His bones were heavenly god bones, so naturally, they were powerful. What he lacked now was only a physical body. Roars sounded everywhere, and lightning sputtered. Another rank 7 fell and died. Looking at this scene, the corners of Zichun's eyes twitched slightly. A high-grade armor was very precious. However, he still could not control the lightning power skillfully, so after he attacked, the armor would shatter. Poof! The long spear in the avatar's hand pierced through the neck of a rank 6. Surging energy surged into the body, destroying the opponent's soul. Swoosh! Swoosh! Powerful attacks were displayed continuously, and a terrifying aura shook heaven and earth. None of the 4 rank 7 escaped. They were all killed by Zichun, and so were the 10 rank 6. The battle was over. The field of swords disappeared, and Ziqin's figure landed. You came back just in time. Are they all right? Su Mingyao stepped forward and asked. Obviously, the unpredictable light she saw before should be Ziqin's return. They were injured, but their lives are not in danger. Light flashed, and Monk and the others appeared. What's going on? Ziqin looked at the empty encampment and asked, Where are the others? They left yesterday. It's said that they went to explore some ruins. Su Mingyao said, It was Martin's men who sent the news. We made preparations in advance. Ziqin looked at Martin gratefully and said, So that's what happened? His figure soared into the sky and arrived above the encampment. The place was already empty. He opened the world, which shrouded the surroundings. The next moment, the space fluctuated. As if two different spaces crossed each other, the buildings in the encampment were directly separated. In the next moment, they were turned into dust by the vibrating space power. In an instant, the entire encampment was turned into ruins. This move alone was shocking enough. Are we leaving this place? Su Mingyao looked at Ziqin flying back and asked. No, destroying the encampment is only the first step. Next, we have to settle old scores. Ziqin looked at Martin and Lunk and said, Martin, Lunk, you two can leave first. I'm not done with the army yet. You don't have to get involved. Martin sighed and said, The army is no longer the same army. I also have thoughts of quitting. This time, I'll stay with everyone. Lunk, what about you? Lunk said, Me too. I don't want to stay in an army that schemed against its own people. Speaking of which, Su Mingyao and the others did not let the army down. Every time they returned from a mission, they would give the army 10% more resources than the other teams. In the previous trip to the ruins, they even tried to persuade the army. They did not expect to be targeted. All right, you guys heal yourselves. We'll wait for them to return. Chapter 29:54. The returning Divine Legion's divine generals were all very frustrated. They had gone out for several days on the pretext of exploring the ruins, but when they arrived, the ruins had already disappeared. Everyone was discussing spiritedly, feeling very disappointed. Where is our encampment? A voice suddenly rang out, followed by a man looking ahead in astonishment. The others also looked ahead, only to see that the original encampment had disappeared, leaving only ruins behind. Looking at this scene, boundless anger rose in the hearts of the Divine Legion. How dare someone behave so atrociously in the encampment of the Divine Legion? They noticed a man standing above the ruins, which made them even angrier. The other party had destroyed the encampment, but instead of running away, he was standing there, obviously provoking them. They even suspected that this was a conspiracy against the Divine Legion. The ruins were fake, and the real purpose was to lure them away and destroy the encampment. They sped up. During this time, some people recognized Ziqin, and their expressions changed. Several hundred years ago, many people had gone to the ruins, and they had witnessed Ziqin's performance. The Blood Scorpion Corps had suffered heavy losses because of him, and he himself had died in the lightning crack. Just as they were vaguely guessing something, a shout came from the front, Tell Donder to get out here. Hearing this shout, the Divine Legion's members were somewhat dazed. Lord Donder was the number 2 figure in the Legion, second only to Lord Wesley. How dare this person speak to him with such an attitude? Looking at the ruins in the distance, and then thinking of Ziqin's identity, they vaguely understood something. At this moment, Monk and the others flew over from the distance. Everyone in their team had come out, and many of them had not recovered from their injuries. At this moment, even more people understood the reason for the other party's shout. Everyone knew that Lord Donder had been targeting Monk's team for a long time. This time, everyone had gone to explore the ruins, but Monk's team did not go. Many people guessed that it was because they had suffered heavy losses that they did not bring them. Now that the ruins had not been found, and the encampment was gone, the other party had shouted at Donder to get out, which seemed to explain many things. Donder, get out here. Ziqin's voice reverberated in the wilderness like rolling thunder. Courting death. A furious shout came from the distance. How dare you call Lord Donder's name? Ziqin stared at that immortal general as cold light flickered in his eyes, Go tell Donder to come here right now, or you will die. I was wondering who could be so arrogant. So it's you. An indifferent voice sounded. Drew walked out from the crowd. He looked at Zichun and said, "Speaking of which, it's been hundreds of years. I didn't expect you to still be alive. I have to say, you're really lucky." The monk on the side said, "Drew, your Lord Buddha said that he didn't kill you because he was waiting for Zichun to come back and kill you. If I were you, I would either run away with my tail between my legs or kneel down and kowtow to Zichun until he spares me. Speaking of which, your arrogance is purely because you have a death wish." Druid snorted and said, "The one saying this should be your Master Lu, right? You only have 20 people, yet you dare to destroy the army's encampment and provoke the entire army. If you kneel down and kowtow now, you might still have a chance to live. If not..." Drew didn't want to suffer losses in front of the monk. Every time he addressed himself as Master Lu, but the title of Lord Zheng still made him very angry. "If not, you'll have to die too." Before he finished speaking, Zichun said coldly and rushed toward Drew. "You're courting death." Drew didn't say anything. Around him, figures rushed out one after another. These people were all rank 7 and wore upper-grade armor. Obviously, they were all captains. At the same time, the few grade 7 experts beside Drew stepped forward and blocked Zichun's path. Zichun didn't stop. Lightning flashed on his body, and he rushed forward. Boom! His fist collided with a rank 7. A violent vibration sounded and the rank 7 was directly sent flying. Lightning surged on his weapon. The next moment, the weapon turned into ashes in the lightning. At the same time, the lightning covered his whole body. The angry roar he let out earlier turned into a scream. The scream became more and more shrill and finally disappeared. A rank 7 captain was dead. Sensing the disappearance of the rank 7 captain's aura, everyone was shocked and shocked. However, at this time, Zichun had already attacked twice. Another 2 rank 7 were sent flying. The rank 7s who were sent flying had lightning flashing on their bodies. This time, Zichun didn't think about controlling these lightning powers. It was purely for the sake of killing. It's lightning. Back then, he entered the lightning rift. "I didn't expect to obtain that kind of lightning power." Exclamations sounded from all around. Those who had entered the ruins and walked out alive naturally knew how terrifying the lightning power was. Now, Zichun was using lightning. It was the same aura as the lightning that surged out back then. Its power was equally terrifying. Drew, who had a smug look on his face at first, was now dumbfounded. Fear showed on his face, and he retreated backward. He didn't expect Zichun to become so terrifying. Bang! Bang! At this moment, a few more people were sent flying. The rank 7s who flew over earlier were all killed. Those rank 6s who rushed out from behind Drew retreated in fear. Swoosh! Zichun turned into lightning and rushed forward. His speed was extremely fast. Like a thunder dragon, he rushed past these rank 6s. Just as these rank 6s were rejoicing, thinking that Zichun wouldn't kill them, they saw boundless lightning erupting from Zichun's body, enveloping those rank 6s around him. The lightning roared. A terrifying aura shook. These rank 6s were sent flying. When they were sent flying, these people were tainted by lightning. They screamed in fear. Hearing their companions' screams, the others didn't save them. Instead, they retreated one by one in extreme fear. They had a lot of people, but they couldn't withstand this kind of battle that was almost called a massacre. Boom! Drowned by the lightning, those rank 6s died in their screams. Behind them, Monk and the others didn't attack. They were also very shocked by Zichun's powerful combat strength. Although Zichun was very strong before, he was definitely not as strong as he was now. That kind of lightning power was extraordinary. It seemed that Zichun had completely mastered it. Drew was already fleeing in fear. However, his speed naturally couldn't be faster than Zichun's. Lightning flashed. Zichun came in front of Drew and punched. Boom! There was a huge shock of energy. A powerful wave spread in all directions. Zichun retreated in this wave. In front of him stood a cold man. The other party was wearing a battle armor. The battle armor's aura was extremely strong. It was a custom-made battle armor. Drew didn't die. The previous attack was blocked by the other party. Your Donder. Chapter 29:55. When Donder arrived and saw the ruins in front of him, he understood everything. However, he didn't know Zichun. He had never seen him before, let alone know who he was, so he asked, "Who are you?" The members of the Legion scattered. At this moment, their faces were filled with horror. Zichun's battle prowess was too strong. Among the members of the Legion, perhaps only Lord Donder and Lord Wesley could suppress him. "I'm the one who wants your life." A cold light flashed in Zichun's eyes. Without any nonsense, he rushed toward Donder. Arrogant. Donder's eyes turned cold. Divine light burst out from his custom-made armor as he punched out. This punch, carrying a powerful aura, collided with the fist surging with thunderbolts. With a loud bang, powerful fluctuations spread out. Zichun and Donder both retreated. At this moment, thunderbolts flashed on the surface of Zichun's body, destroying all the divine light that tried to invade his body. On the other hand, those thunderbolts couldn't invade Donder's body. This blow was evenly matched, causing an uproar in the surroundings. "You can block my blow with a mere 7th stage physique. It seems that your strength is of a high grade." Donder looked at Zichun and said indifferently. Zichun smiled coldly. Thunderbolts surged on his body again. At this moment, he activated the 9 passing thunderbolts to the limit. In a flash, he appeared beside Donder. "Humph!" Donder snorted. He clenched his fist and attacked. Divine light illuminated the surroundings. Another rumbling sound was heard, and Zichun's body was sent flying backwards. Swish! As soon as he stabilized himself, he disappeared again. Thunderbolts shrouded the surroundings. With booming sounds, his attacks fell on Donder again and again. Donder stood there, calmly resisting. Divine light kept sputtering. Powerful fluctuations spread out like rolling waves in the sea. Everyone in the distance retreated one after another. Donder was an 8th stage physique. In addition, he was wearing a custom-made armor. His battle prowess was extremely strong. He was the second in command in the Legion. In everyone's eyes, his strength was a matter of course. At the moment, Zichun, who was only at level 7, was actually able to tie with Donder without the help of the armor, which was very incredible. In the distance, Tyrant and the others were very satisfied with this battle. They did not expect Zichun to be able to kill Donder, but as long as he was not weaker than Donder, no one in this area would dare to provoke them. This naturally included the Blood Scorpion Corps. Divine Flame Palm. A shout that belonged to Donder resounded. The aura in front of them suddenly changed. A blazing aura suddenly erupted from the divine light that filled the sky. It was as if flames were burning, converging into a huge palm print that slammed down towards Zichun. Boom! The palm of God exploded, and the divine energy dispersed in all directions. Zichun's body retreated in the air. Lightning shot out from his body in all directions, neutralizing the powerful force contained in that palm strike. "You are no match for me." Donder stared at Zichun in his custom-made battle armor and said coldly, "Really?" Zichun smiled, but his smile became somewhat cold. He clenched his fists, and the power of lightning surged on his fists again. A trace of disdain flashed through Donder's eyes. This was the move his opponent had used before. Boom! However, in the next moment, the power in Zichun's body became violent. The boundless lightning was mixed with yin and yang lightning. Zichun had used his strongest power. Swish! With a speed comparable to teleportation, he arrived in front of Donder. Donder reacted quickly. He turned around and slapped down with his palm. The palm print met the lightning, which contained the power of yin and yang. With a loud boom, the energy dispersed in all directions. Donder, who had been standing in the same place, retreated backward. Looking at Zichun, he only swayed his body and neutralized that powerful force. What? Seeing this, the faces of the people in the distance changed greatly, especially Drew. He did not expect Zichun to become so terrifying. Swish! Zichun moved again. He arrived in front of Donder and punched out again. His fist, which was filled with an extremely violent aura, fell on Donder. This punch was so fast that Donder did not have time to block it. His body was hit by the punch. A ripple appeared on his custom-made battle armor, which blocked the punch. However, his body was sent flying backward. Being sent flying in front of so many subordinates, Donder was furious. With a flash of light, a long sword appeared in his hand. He held the sword with his right hand. The patterns on the sword lit up, and so did the patterns on the custom-made battle armor. His essence, chi, and spirit had all reached the peak at this moment. He slashed down with the sword. This sword blocked the space, making Zichun feel great pressure. The sword light was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived above his head. There was nowhere to dodge. Swish! With a flash of light, the long saber was unsheathed and blocked above his head. Buzz! The saber and the sword met. A powerful fluctuation spread out with a destructive aura, causing the surrounding space to distort crazily. Holding the saber in his right hand to block the long sword, Zichun clenched his left hand into a fist and punched forward. At this moment, Donder also slapped down with his palm. The palm print was surrounded by divine light and emitted a blazing aura. Boom! With a burst of thunderbolts, Donder was sent flying by Zichun. After using all his strength, Zichun's fighting capacity was much stronger than Donder's. Puff! Donder, who was sent flying backward, coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face was full of shock. Obviously, he did not expect that he, an 8th-level warrior, would be injured by a 7th-level warrior. Moreover, this 7th-level warrior was not wearing battle armor. If he wore battle armor, wouldn't he be more vulnerable? Seeing this scene, Monk and the others in the distance were very excited. However, Kang Imo was the most excited. Zichun's fighting capacity was so strong now. If he could refine a suit of battle armor for Zichun, his fighting capacity would be much stronger than now. He would definitely be able to defeat Donder. Actually, he also hated Donder very much. Putting the long saber back into its sheath, Zichun walked toward Donder. His pace was not very fast, but it gave Donder great pressure. He was accumulating power. The light of yin and yang and the lightning on his body were shining. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. He was like a person walking toward the top of the mountain. The next moment, he arrived at the top of the mountain. He looked around and saw that all the mountains were small. He had accumulated power to the peak. Holding the long saber in his right hand, he pulled it out of its sheath. The loud sound of the saber resounded through heaven and earth. A streak of light fell down, carrying an aura that had reached its limit. This saber strike, in terms of speed and power, had reached Zichun's best state. It was also his strongest strike. In addition to the 3 kinds of energy, there were 8 saber intents. The only thing lacking was the enhancement of the saber realm. Donder shouted and raised his sword to block the attack. There was a boom. Donder was sent flying backward. The long sword in his hand was broken. On his chest, a long saber mark appeared on the special battle armor. Puff! Flying backward for dozens of feet, Donder coughed up blood again. Chapter 2956. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect Zichun to be so formidable. He was only in the 7th class, but he could hurt Lord Donder. Also, even Lord Donder's special armor had a crack on it. If it weren't for the special armor, he would have been killed. Drew was terrified. He didn't expect that Zichun could come back alive. He didn't expect that Zichun could be so formidable after coming back alive. At this moment, Zichun held the long saber with his right hand again, and his aura rose to the peak again. The quiet surroundings suddenly burst into an uproar. Was he going to kill Lord Donder? Swish! The long saber was unsheathed. A dazzling light appeared in everyone's eyes. They saw the saber slanting toward the sky. Just as everyone was incomparably shocked, they saw the slanted blade suddenly change direction and fall backwards. The saber light extended into the distance, cut through the sky, and flew toward the crowd in the distance like a rainbow. Puff! At the front of the crowd, Drew widened his eyes, which were full of horror. The saber light that looked like a waterfall disappeared before his eyes. A blood-red light appeared on his body from between his eyebrows and extended downwards. The next moment, his body separated and fell to the ground. Next to Drew, the others fled in horror. Zichun's attack was not aimed at Lord Donder. Instead, it landed on Drew's body from a very far distance. Furthermore, it successfully killed Drew, who was at rank 7. In fact, Donder knew very well that the saber was indeed aimed at him, but Zichun suddenly changed his mind. As for the reason, it was because of the person in front of him. Wei showed up. Zichun had seen him once, which was why he changed the direction of the saber. He knew very well that with Wei there, the saber couldn't kill Donder. Who are you? Wei stared at Zichun in front of him with a grave expression. The two number 1 on the ranking list of generals, who were separated by many generations, met face to face. It doesn't matter, Zichun said indifferently, coldness flashing in his eyes. Wei scanned the surroundings with his spiritual thoughts and found that the station had been reduced to ruins. He asked, "Did you do this?" "That's right," Zichun replied. "I need to know the reason." Wei's voice turned cold. He didn't lose his temper immediately. This time, Zichun didn't say anything. He just narrowed his eyes and his aura rose again. It was clear that he was about to attack again. Wei turned to look at Donder and asked, "What the hell is going on?" "I don't know either. As soon as we came back, we saw that the ruins had disappeared. He started a massacre here and killed a lot of people," Donder said. Zichun said coldly, "Donder, you really want to die. Now, no one can save you." As soon as Zichun's voice fell, 8 saber ancestor steels appeared. The saber domain was instantly formed, and an oppressive aura circulated within the domain. "How dare you!" Wei shouted as divine light erupted from his body. His aura was extremely terrifying, causing the entire domain of blades to tremble. "No one can stop me from killing him." Zichun's eyes flashed with killing intent. In the air above his domain, world law energy descended, enveloping Wei Li. Wei Li's speed was affected, and his powerful aura weakened a little. Zichun pulled out his saber again. This time, the saber light was even more powerful. Boom! In the energy shock, Donder's special armor burst into pieces. His body flew backward and smashed heavily against the barrier. He coughed up blood again and again, a look of horror on his face. Outside the domain, those who saw this scene were even more frightened. Zichun had broken Donder's special armor with one saber strike. Feeling Zichun's killing intent, Wei was both shocked and angry. He turned around and stared at Donder, whose aura was weak in the distance, and shouted, "Donder, what the hell is going on? Do you want to destroy the Legion of Gods?" Donder's face was extremely pale, and he coughed up blood again. Wei's expression changed greatly. He must have heard Donder's voice transmission and learned the truth. He looked back at Zichun. Zichun stared at Wei and said, "You're very powerful, but I can kill you. If you stop me, I'll kill you even if I have to risk my life." Wei's expression kept changing. Being threatened, he was naturally angry, but there was also a touch of fear in his heart. After a moment of silence, Wei said, "This is a misunderstanding." Zichun shook his head and said, "There's no misunderstanding. If he wants to kill someone, I'll kill him. He's just an executor, not the one behind the scenes," Wei said. Zichun looked at Wei this time. "It's not what you think. His target is that native in your team." Wei's words made Zichun's expression change. "If I'm not wrong, his surname should be Kong, right? He's a member of the Kong family, and he's also a natural-born refiner." Wei's expression was very complicated as he said, "This is all for that refiner." "Why?" Zichun asked. Wei said, "This involves the grievances between the natives. It's not something that can be explained in 1 or 2 sentences." "You think I'll let him go just because you say that?" Zichun said coldly. Wei then told him what had happened. It turned out that after Su Mingyao told him the result of her deduction, Donder was very surprised, so he wanted to pull her into the team. But when he noticed Su Mingyao, he found that she was actually wearing a set of custom-made armor, which made him very surprised. After some investigation, he found out that there was a member of the Kong family in their team. All these years, the army had been targeting Su Mingyao and the others, and he had turned a blind eye to it. There were too many people in the army. Although unintentional targeting was criticized, it didn't matter. If they directly killed them, it would naturally cause public anger. Therefore, Monk and the others often went out on missions, leading to more and more injured people. This time, The higher-ups urged them to do so, so they thought of this method to destroy everyone in one fell swoop. Of course, the murder was not fake, so Donder still deserved to die. Zichen's expression was extremely cold. Wei said, "The one who really schemed against you was the Yu family of Heaven Road City. The Yu family is the biggest force. The mercenaries of gods were hired by the Yu family, and our armor was also obtained from the Yu family. Donder was in the wrong this time, but your people came to the army to seek protection. Before we found the Kong family, we naturally didn't make things difficult for you." "Where is Heaven Road City?" Zichen asked. He could understand the meaning of Wei Li's words. He wanted to use the protection of these years in exchange for Donder's life. "It's in the core area of this area, but I advise you not to go there for the time being, because you can't teleport there. You can only walk there. During this period, you will encounter all kinds of heavenly beasts. It's very dangerous." Wei Li looked at Zichen and said, "The most important thing is that the Yu family is very powerful and controls many experts here. You may not be afraid, but your friends may not." Swish. Zichen dispersed the blade domain, turned around and walked away. Donder, who had been silent, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 29:57. Donder stood up and smiled helplessly. He looked gratefully at Wei Li, who was glaring at him. "You shouldn't have interfered," Wei Li said, dissatisfaction evident in his tone. Donder said, "I just wanted to do you a favor." Wei Li shook his head. "This has nothing to do with favors. You shouldn't have interfered. The Yu clan's matter isn't something we can get involved in, and the Kong clan's matter has nothing to do with us." "But what if?" Before Donder could finish, Wei Li interrupted him. "There's no what if. Why did I lead the Divine Legion to this area? Back then, why did I stop you from going deeper? It's too close. I can't accept it." Donder sighed. "There are too many people who can't accept it. So what? Don't tell me you expect them to remember this favor? It's already good enough that you didn't do a good job, and this time, you shot yourself in the foot." "That young man is definitely not ordinary," Wei Li said, looking at the place where Zichen disappeared. "Yes, a mere 7th-rank martial artist with such fighting strength. It's too scary," Donder sighed. "It's more than scary. It's terrifying. Although he's a 7th-rank martial artist, if we really fight to the death, it's not certain whether we'll survive," Wei Li said. Donder's expression immediately changed. "That can't be. You were first on the ranking of generals, known as the strongest in the God realm. In this area, how many people are first on the ranking of generals? It's just a false reputation. Moreover, the ranking of generals was interfered with. It might not be true. Then what about this matter? The people they sent should all be dead. You don't have to worry about it." The corpses on the ground were naturally dealt with by others. Some people were still in shock. After that domain appeared, they could only see what was happening inside, but couldn't hear what was happening inside. They saw Zichen slash down and shatter Donder's custom-made armor. After that, the two sides said something, and Zichen withdrew his domain and left. Zichen's group returned to their original encampment. Su Mingyao put away the hall, and then everyone left. After joining the army, it would be very troublesome to leave. However, with the means that Zichen had displayed today, all the trouble was no longer a problem. No one asked why Zichen didn't kill Donder. Obviously, Zichen had his reasons for doing so. "Where are we going next?" Su Mingyao looked at Zichen. Zichen thought for a moment and said, "Let's go to a nearby city to rest first." Everyone nodded and set off for the nearest city. Martin and Lunk were also in the team. The two of them had completely left the Divine Legion this time. As they moved forward, Zichen looked at the excited Kongamo and asked curiously, "What are you so happy about?" "Big brother, your combat power is very strong. If you wear the custom-made armor, I believe you will be even stronger." Kongamo said excitedly, "I can already make custom battle armor now." Zichen smiled. "Yes, I've already seen it. It's very powerful. Brother Devil Ape and the others were able to return because of the armor you made." Hearing this, Kongamo was even happier, his little face raised proudly. Zichen didn't ask if Kongamo knew about the Yu clan. Originally, when he learned about Kongmo's matter, he had speculated about Kongmo's background. However, because he had very little contact with the natives, he gradually forgot about it. He didn't expect that this time, they would be implicated and almost lead to a disaster. However, now that he knew the reason, he would wait for everyone to enter the depths of the Divine Legion to meet this clan. After entering the city, everyone found an inn to treat their wounds and rest. Did something happen? Only Su Mingyao and Zichun were in the room. Su Mingyao asked. They came for Kongimo. Zichun didn't hide it. Kongimo? Su Mingyao was surprised. Zichun said, they said it was the clan, a huge native power. Wesley said that the divine mercenaries are under their control. Su Mingyao asked, where are they? Zichun said, in the depths. With our strength, we can't reach there for the time being. Then what do you plan to do next? After everyone's injuries are healed, we will slowly enter the depths until we reach that city. After staying in the city for 7 days, everyone's injuries were completely healed. Zichun's group left the city and headed for the depths. Martin and the others had been to the depths before, but they had gone in teams. This time, they were traveling together and could be considered as a team. Among them, Zichun was an expert who could fight against Donder, so they didn't have to worry about the potential dangers in the depths. Fight, refine, grow, and advance. This was the next path for everyone. They had to keep walking, and it would take a long time. As for whether the clan would send more people, Zichun didn't know, but he didn't care. Unless he sent some experts as strong as Donder, he would have to kill every one of them. Zichun sat on a flat ground on the mountain peak, holding 2 5th-grade heavenly beast inner cores in his hands. Lightning flickered on his body as he absorbed the energy in the cores. There was no doubt about the combat strength of the Thunder body, but it was very difficult to improve it. Last time, after successfully comprehending it, his physical body directly broke through to the 7th grade. Next, when he refined the inner cores again, the refining speed was much faster, but the improvement was completely negligible. Not far from him, there was a large hall where the others were cultivating. Zichun was like a gatekeeper, guarding the hall. Occasionally, a powerful aura would sweep across the night sky. Zichun's spiritual thoughts spread out. In the dark night, lightning flickered on his body. Sitting on the mountain peak, he was like a guiding light, extremely eye-catching. Above the sky, a strong wind blew, and a powerful aura surged. Zichun felt a pressure. He opened his eyes and saw a huge bird flying toward him. Like a goshawk hunting its prey, it swooped down quickly, and a sharp whistle resounded in the air. Zichun stood up and bent his knees slightly. With a crack, the stone under his feet cracked, and he disappeared. In the next moment, he arrived beside the bird and punched it. Boom! Boundless lightning exploded in the sky, and the world suddenly lit up, as if the night had turned into day. The lightning disappeared, and the world returned to darkness. A shrill cry pierced the sky. The huge bird from before landed on the mountain peak. Zichun's body descended and landed on the ground where he was originally sitting cross-legged. The cracks on the stone intensified and spread. A rootless fire burned on the mountain peak, and the aroma of barbecued meat filled the air. Tonight, Zichun had added an extra meal for himself. Such a scene would occasionally appear on the road ahead, and the others were already used to it. In the blink of an eye, they had gone deep into the forest. With the provision of many resources, everyone in the team had reached the 5th grade, and many had reached the 6th grade. However, this level was still not enough to go deep into the forest. As usual, Zichun sat on the mountain peak to cultivate, while the others cultivated in the hall. As they went deeper, the danger increased. Zichun's vigilance increased slightly, and his spiritual thoughts covered the surroundings, guarding against the appearance of heavenly beasts. Chapter 29:58. Smoke rose and filled the surroundings. Zichun, who was sitting on the mountain peak, felt as if he was in the clouds. Lightning flashed on his body. When he opened his eyes, he saw that there was a thick fog around him. The fog appeared abruptly as if it had a life of its own. After it came to his side, it went deeper. Chi. The fog that entered his body was immediately destroyed by the power of thunder formed by the thunder body. He looked at this scene in surprise, and found that the fog came from the stone peak below him. A green light appeared behind him and wrapped around his waist. This green light was an unknown plant. After it wrapped around Zichen, a wave of energy emerged from it and tried to invade his body. Buzz! Lightning flashed on the surface of his body again, and the energy that tried to invade his body was repelled again. At this time, the plant suddenly exerted force, and Zichen's body was forcefully dragged backward. Zichen didn't know what this plant was. When he came to this world, he heard that any green plant that grew on a mountain rock must be something extremely precious. He reached out and grabbed the plant. Lightning flashed on his body, and a powerful force emerged from his thunder body, breaking free from the plant's entanglement. Then, his left hand wrapped the plant around his arm layer by layer. He held it firmly and suddenly exerted force. Buzz! Lightning flashed on his body, and the power of his thunder body was fully unleashed, trying to pull the plant out of the mountain peak. At this time, his face was filled with joy. It was an opportunity to encounter a plant. The power of his thunder body was very strong. During this time, the lightning continued to extend along the plant into the mountain peak. However, no matter how much force Zichen used, he couldn't pull it out. The plant seemed to be one with the mountain. If he wanted to pull it out, he had to have the power to shake the mountain. The two of them were in a stalemate. However, it was obviously impossible for the plant to bring Zichen into the mountain peak. Let's see how long you can last. Zichen smiled coldly. A light flashed in his right hand, and a sheathed long saber appeared. Just as he was about to pull out the saber, the plant he was holding tightly suddenly loosened. Zichen's body was directly sent flying backward by inertia. Just when he thought that he had pulled out the vegetation, he realized that his body that was flying backwards suddenly stopped, and the vegetation in his left hand was almost torn away. After that, the vegetation grew taut again. Zichen stood in the air, his body flickering with lightning. At this moment, the vegetation exerted more force, and Zichen's body began to move uncontrollably to the left and right. It began to sway more and more violently. Boom! Zichen's body slammed into the mountain peak with a loud tremor. The vegetation extended once again, bending in the middle like a long whip. Zichen was at the end of the long whip. With another loud tremor, his body smashed into the giant mountain peak again. At this moment, Zichen was unable to control his body and stabilize his center of gravity. As the vegetation swayed, extended and shortened, he slammed left and right. The repeated collisions caused the mountain to tremble violently. Although Zichen had a powerful lightning body and would not be injured, the continuous collisions made him feel dizzy and extremely uncomfortable. Thunderous sounds kept ringing, and the entire mountain peak was shaking. Naturally, it affected the people cultivating in the hall. Everyone woke up and walked out of the hall. Then, they were shocked to see Zichen's body constantly dancing. The rumbling sounds were made by his body hitting the mountain peak. Are you playing on a swing? Monk looked at Zichen and laughed. Am I playing on a swing? Zichen said angrily. His body once again slammed into the mountain peak uncontrollably, and a loud rumbling sound was heard. Monk laughed loudly, and the others chuckled as well. Oh my God, this is a green plant, Martin exclaimed amidst the laughter. To be able to break out of the mountain and have such means, it's definitely not an ordinary plant. Everyone knew how powerful Zichen was, but at this moment, Zichen couldn't do anything to this plant. At this moment, one end of the plant was on the mountain peak. It could be seen that it had truly broken out of the mountain peak. When Martin and the others were in the army, they had been looking for something that could break out of the mountain peak. The intelligence personnel had gone to almost all the mountains, but they didn't find anything. However, Zichen found it and even caught it. What kind of luck was this? Why aren't you helping? Zichen's voice was heard. Haha, how can I help? Monk laughed loudly. Break the mountain peak and get it out. As Zichen spoke, his body slammed into the mountain peak again, and his head was in a daze. All right, Monk said heroically. He took out the demon-subduing pestle and struck the mountain peak hard. With a loud rumble, a shallow pit appeared on the mountain peak, and gravel flew in all directions. Seeing this, Monk was a little dumbfounded. Now that his combat strength was extraordinary, it shouldn't be difficult for him to destroy a mountain peak. However, the mountain peak in front of him seemed to be too sturdy. If he continued to smash it, it would probably take him a few years. Slash! Monk shouted. He held the demon-subduing pestle and struck at the plant. When the others saw this, they wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Buzz! With a loud rumble, rays of light shone from the plant. The demon-subduing pestle met with a strong resistance and was repelled. What? Monk's eyes widened in disbelief. The others were also surprised. They heaved a sigh of relief. This was a good thing. If it broke, it would be troublesome. Darn Baldy, come and catch this. Don't let it run in. I'll break the mountain peak. Zichun said loudly, if it breaks and runs, we will miss out on a great opportunity. Hearing about the opportunity, Monk's eyes lit up. He rushed forward without hesitation and came to Zichen's side. He wrapped his arms around the plant and grabbed it. Zichen immediately let go and flew to the back. He reminded, hurry up and take out the shield to defend. Before Monk could react, his body was forcefully sent flying and slammed into the mountain peak. The plant in his hand almost fell out of his hand. He shook his dazed head and hurriedly took out the defensive light shield. Obviously, it wasn't used to defend against attacks, but to protect himself from being knocked unconscious. Boom, boom. The rumbling continued as Monk was knocked to different places. I say, hurry up and do something. While defending, Monk shouted in dissatisfaction. The others laughed when they heard that. Wait for a while. Let me recover, Zichen said. You. Monk was enraged when he heard that. His body flew into the sky. However, the plant shrank and expanded, neutralizing Monk's strength. Boom. With another strong swing, Monk was sent flying again. Hurry up and do something, Monk shouted. Swoosh. Zichen's body flew into the sky. A sheathed long saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed downwards. Chapter 29:59. Zichen slashed down with his saber, and the saber light directly penetrated the mountain peak. The hard stone peak couldn't block this attack, and Zichen also knew his limits and didn't cut the plant. However, the mountain peak was too high, and Zichen's attack was far from being able to break the peak. However, the effect was much stronger than the monk's attack. With a tap of his foot, Zichen soared into the sky. Lightning surged on his body again as he pushed his thunder physique to the limit. The power of yin and yang shone on the surface of his body, releasing a powerful aura. Another slash was made. This time, the saber light was like a waterfall. It fell from the sky, and another deep crack appeared on the mountain peak. When Zichen was slashing, the others didn't stay idle. They all flew in all directions and stood outside the mountain peak to attack. Su Mingyao kept the main hall, and the black rod in the devil ape's hand was smashed down, causing debris to fly everywhere. Thunder, Xingqian, and the others also started to attack. Everyone started to break the mountain peak with all their strength. The monk was still shouting, but no one paid attention to him anymore. Buzz. Zichen's body emitted a strong light as he slashed down with his saber again. This time, the saber followed the previous mark and penetrated dozens of feet deeper into the mountain peak. After a few slashes, the crack on the mountain peak was big enough. Zichen put away his long saber. His body flashed, and he appeared on the mountain peak. The next moment, he clenched his fist and pushed the power of his thunder physique to the limit. Amidst the endless rumbling of thunder, he punched the mountain peak. Bolts of lightning poured in from the crack and exploded continuously, sending out powerful waves of energy. Smoke and dust flew out from the crack, and the entire mountain peak began to shake. Under the powerful bombardment of the lightning, the mountain peak fell to both sides. Crack! The giant mountain split in the middle and fell to both sides. Finally, it fell to the ground with a rumbling sound. When the first ray of sunlight appeared on the horizon, the mountain peak was successfully split open, and everyone saw the plant in the mountain peak. It was a sparkling and translucent grass that was rooted on a circular rock. The green light that extended from it was being held tightly by the monk. At this moment, the mountain peak was split open, and the plant appeared in front of everyone, but it was no longer struggling. The monk let go of the plant, and the green light returned. Everyone was extremely shocked. Such a small stalk of grass was actually able to break open a mountain peak that was over 100 zhang tall. Just how sharp was its power? Under everyone's gaze, the grass seemed very quiet. Its thin and long leaves were withdrawn, as if it was an extremely ordinary weed. However, no one let down their guard. The monk's head was still dizzy. Look at that round rock where the plant is rooted. Doesn't it look like a head? Martin's voice rang out. Everyone's eyes fell on the round rock. The round stone did indeed look like a human head. There was already a vague outline of the head. If one continued to look down, one could even see the outline of the body. It was as if a person was lying there, and the grass was taking root in his head and growing along with him. It is indeed a human head. How can there be people here? Zichun was very confused. The mountains here are very hard, said Martin with a shocked expression. Under normal circumstances, they won't give birth to sentience. However, there are always accidents in the world. There are a very small number of mountains that can give birth to spiritual intelligence by chance, and then become a powerful existence. When they attacked earlier, they felt that the mountain was too hard. Now, it seemed that a spiritual body had been born, which caused the entire mountain to change. However, it was very obvious that this spiritual body had not been able to grow, and its vitality was taken away by this seemingly fragile grass. I remember now. This is the spirit-devouring grass. Everyone, retreat. Its previous appearance was an illusion. It wants to devour everyone. At this moment, Kang Emo, who was behind them, shouted. There was obvious fear in his voice. Whoosh! As soon as Kang Mo's voice fell, the grass immediately lit up. Countless green leaves flew out from its body, bringing with them a thick fog. The fog did not have a pungent smell. It was like a kind of energy that ignored defense and entered everyone's body. Everyone's retreating figure paused in an instant, and then they were enveloped by the green leaves. In the thick fog, a puffing sound was heard, accompanied by a series of exclamations. Boom! Lightning surged on Zichun's body, and the boundless lightning spread out in all directions. It was like a living lightning snake, passing through the thick fog and landing on the green leaves. The lightning exploded, the thick fog dispersed, and the green leaves disappeared. The abnormality in the surroundings disappeared in an instant, and everyone's figures appeared. At this moment, most of them were covered in blood, suffering from different degrees of injuries. Only Tyrant, Zichun, and Su Mingyao were unharmed. Tyrant had the strongest defense, and Zichun had lightning on his body. Nothing could get close to him. As for Su Mingyao, she was not injured either. No one knew why. Other than that, the others were more or less injured. Even their mid-grade armor was broken, and their high-grade armor was directly broken through. No one knew if it was because Kang Emo had reminded everyone, but his injuries were the most serious. There were several bloody wounds on his body, and he looked very miserable. At this moment, everyone's face was filled with fear. If Zichun had not quickly used the lightning to break the abnormality, they would have all been killed if it had continued for a while. That thick fog is strange. It can paralyze the body and prevent the circulation of energy. Demon Ape said in a low voice. Black light flowed on his body, covering his injuries. In front of everyone, the grass was still rooted there quietly. Its leaves were slightly curled, and it seemed to have lost some of its vitality. Be careful, it's still an illusion. It's a spirit-devouring grass. Unlike other plants, it can move on its own. It's not running away now, and it still wants to devour us. Kang Emo said loudly, its devouring skill is very strong, and its defense is also very terrifying. Before he could finish his words, Su Mingyao went forward. She came in front of the spirit-devouring grass and bent over to look at it. At this moment, her body was flowing with brilliance, and her beautiful body was faintly discernible. Kang Emo wanted to remind her, but Su Mingyao stretched out her slender finger and gently touched the spirit-devouring grass. The spirit-devouring grass seemed to have intelligence. Its curved leaves gently drooped down and rubbed against Su Mengyao's finger. It looked like a docile little beast rubbing its head against its owner's body. Seeing this scene, the others were very surprised. Only Kangamo, with his eyes wide open, looked at the scene in front of him as if he had seen a ghost. The spirit-devouring grass was the most terrifying plant in his memory. If it was compared to a heavenly beast, then it must be the most ferocious and terrifying. But now, this most ferocious plant was like a docile pet in front of Su Mingyao. Kangamo closed his mouth, a little dumbfounded, because no matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem to be an act. At the next moment, Su Mingyao stretched out her hand, and the spirit-devouring grass rooted in the round stone broke away from the round stone and fell into her palm like a little fairy. Everyone was very shocked, and Kang Mo's face was full of horror. Chapter 2960. The spirit-devouring grass was intimidating because it could swallow spiritual energy, including divine generals, sky beasts, rocks, and all kinds of spiritual energy in this world. It was like a hunter that considered all the living creatures in this area as its prey. This kind of existence was really intimidating. Of course, it had excellent skills. It was the most dangerous killer. No one had ever thought that it would be tamed like this. The others were surprised because they didn't know the spirit-devouring grass, and they didn't know how dangerous it was. In Kangmo's memory, there was a record about this. He knew how intimidating the spirit-devouring grass was. While he was still in shock, the spirit-devouring grass was flying around Su Mingyao. It looked really obedient. After flying around Su Mingyao several times, the spirit-devouring grass turned into a jet of light, returning to Su Mingyao's palm and disappearing. Do you know what it is? Zichen looked at Su Mingyao. I don't know, but I can feel that it doesn't have evil intentions. Apparently, Su Mingyao's evil intentions were aimed at herself. At that moment, the spirit-devouring grass was full of evil intentions towards them. They had thought that it was Zichen's lightning power that had broken the green leaves and saved them. But now, it didn't seem to be the case. Looking at the others' skeptical faces, Su Mingyao explained, because it's a technique, I can feel its difference. Su Mingyao's technique was special. It was to deduce the Great Path. Currently, she was the first expert on this life star. Did you tame it? Asked Zichen. Su Mingyao nodded gently. It will go with us. Her words were subtle. Actually, she meant that the grass would follow her. Apparently, the spirit-devouring grass didn't recognize the others. They didn't know the spirit-devouring grass's special ability. However, all the plants in this world were really intimidating. This time, Su Mingyao had such a harvest. Everybody was happy from the bottom of their hearts. The mountain peak was destroyed. They continued their journey. Since the Divine Legion's base was destroyed several years ago, they had retreated from that area and ventured deeper. Since some level 7 experts were killed, the Divine Legion had suffered a great loss. However, they hadn't recruited anyone yet. Several years later, a level 8 expert came to this new base, his face grimaced. Someone saw him and asked him. He scolded him. You guys are really good at hiding. Looking at this encampment, the rank 8's face was full of indifference. I've been looking for you for a few years. I didn't expect you to be hiding here. Where did this saying come from? Do we still need to hide? A voice sounded. Donder appeared in front of rank 8. Where are the people you killed? Where did they go? Why isn't there any news? Both of them were rank 8s. The other party's attitude was obviously very rude. Donder said, last time, we were only responsible for providing information. As for killing people, that's your business. How could we know? By the time we returned, the encampment had already been razed to the ground. We waited for you for a long time, but no one came to compensate us. Hearing this, a rank 8 laughed coldly. Compensation? You're not doing a good job, yet you still want compensation? At this moment, Donder couldn't help but recall Wei Li's words. If you want the other party to remember a favor, the other party might blame you for not doing a good job. It seemed that he was right. Immediately mobilize your people to search. Regardless of life or death, you must find him. That rank 8 said coldly. Our people suffered heavy losses last time. The encampment needs to be rebuilt again. We need a lot of resources. Recently, everyone has been resting and reorganizing. For the time being, we don't have suitable people. Donder said, Are you ignoring my words? A chill flashed through the rank 8's eyes. They were all rank 8's. There was no distinction between high and low. The other party's arrogance made Donder very unhappy. Just as he was about to rebuke the other party, Whaley appeared in front of him. Seeing Whaley, that rank 8's attitude became slightly more proper. Donder turned and left. Right now, there was regret in his heart. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have interfered in this matter. After Zichun came back, he might even join the Corps because of their protection. Our encampment has been destroyed. The people you sent are dead. Whaley looked at the rank 8 in front of him and said, "You don't need to send people to search. They'll go deeper to look for you." "Look for us? Is he looking for death?" The rank 8's tone was cold. Whaley smiled and said, "Whether he's looking for death or not, we'll know when we meet him." After that, his figure flashed and disappeared, leaving behind the rank 8 with a gloomy face. Obviously, Whaley's attitude was more clear. He wouldn't help. From another point of view, he wouldn't interfere in this matter anymore. Even if you don't care, someone will. Don't think that there's only one core of gods here. With a cold expression, the rank 8 turned and left. In a valley, several rank 6 heavenly beasts were eating. They were making a lot of noise. Zichun and the others were not far away. They released their spiritual senses and watched the scene in the valley. No one made a move. Instead, they turned to look at Su Mingyao. Su Mingyao stretched out her hand. Light flowed in her palm. The spirit-devouring grass appeared in her palm. Everyone's attention fell on the spirit-devouring grass. They saw it leave Su Mengyao's palm and fall on the mountain peak, sinking into it easily. The extremely hard rock seemed to be nothing to it. After 3 breaths, screams suddenly sounded in the valley. Everyone's spiritual senses noticed that the valley had been covered by green leaves, like a huge dumpling. The screams came from the green leaves. Through the gaps, a thick fog escaped. After a while, the green leaves disappeared. The original heavenly beasts had all turned into corpses. The corpses were entangled with green leaves. Then, the green leaves brought them back. After that, their huge bodies kept shrinking and finally disappeared. Obviously, they were devoured. Several rank 6 heavenly beasts were killed and devoured in an instant. This scene shocked everyone. Whoosh! Before everyone's eyes, the spirit-devouring grass appeared. It was clean and fell into Su Mengyao's palm. Then, it turned into spots of light and disappeared. "It's really scary." Zichun sighed, but he was in a good mood. Now that Su Mingyao had the spirit-devouring grass, she had another way to protect herself in times of crisis. Next, the spirit-devouring grass displayed its extremely powerful killing method to everyone. Heavenly beasts below rank 6 were completely slaughtered in front of it. As for rank 7, it could also kill them, but only in a one-on-one. As their combat strength increased, everyone gradually went deeper. Most of the time, they would stay in a certain area for a long time. "Big brother, try this material." Kangamo took out a piece of beast bone and handed it to Zichun. Zichun held the material in his hand. Thunder force lingered in his hand. Buzz. The material trembled and released thunder. Crackling sounds were constantly heard. Looking at the beast bone that released a strong aura, Kang Mo's eyes showed a touch of joy. She said, "It can really stimulate the thunder force to a greater extent. This is the most suitable material for Big Brother to customize the armor." Zichun said, "The thunder force can be unimpeded, but the quality is too low." Chapter 2961. After witnessing Zichun's power, Kang Mo had always wanted to craft a set of custom-made battle armor for Zichun. That way, his battle prowess would be even stronger. However, he had not been able to find the right materials, and all the materials he had so far were flawed. Crafting a set of battle armor was an extremely complicated process. First, one had to know the opponent's power attribute, then find the right materials to activate it. For example, Zichun's elemental attribute was lightning. If he were to use a material that was of high quality but had a suppressive effect on lightning, the resulting armor would obviously be ineffective. Thus, Kangamo had been searching for materials for the past few years. During this time, he had repaired the Demon Ape's battle armor and also crafted custom-made battle armor for others. Every set of custom-made battle armor was extremely difficult. From the selection of materials to the crafting process, it usually took hundreds of years. This was also why, in the Divine Legion, although there were custom-made battle armors, there were not many of them. It took too long, and many people were waiting patiently in line. During this time, Kang Emo had displayed his crafting skills, which had shocked Martin and Luan Kuo. His crafting speed was very fast, but the quality was not reduced. Once he had more experience, it would be very impressive. Kang Emo looked at the bones that had turned into powder and said with a smile, "That was only the material of a level 6 Heavenly Wind Rhinoceros. If we can find a level 7 Heavenly Wind Rhinoceros, we can use it to craft battle armor." Zichen nodded and said, "If it's a level 7 Heavenly Wind Rhinoceros, we need to go deeper." In this region, although they would occasionally encounter a few level 7 heavenly beasts, they were relatively few in number. As for the wind rhinoceros that Kang Emo had mentioned, even for a level 6 heavenly beast, they had only encountered one, and not a single level 7 heavenly beast. Kang Emo had inherited memories, and the things in his memories were all about this world, including some special plants and powerful heavenly beasts. Kang Emo said, "Actually, it's because my proficiency is too low. Otherwise, I would have been able to kill the Sky Thunder Beast directly. It has the Thunder attribute, so it's best to use it to refine battle armor." Hearing this, Zichen's eyes flashed with surprise. He had not heard Kang Emo mention this before, so he asked, "Where is the Heavenly Thunder Beast you mentioned?" "It's in a very dangerous place. It's still very far from here." Kang Emo said embarrassedly, "Even if we have the materials now, I can't refine it." Zichen smiled and said, "Don't worry. Take it slow. We have plenty of time." Kang Emo looked up at Zichen and said, "Big brother, are you bringing us all the way to Heaven's Road City? You know that place?" Zichen asked. "Yes, in my memories, there are records of Heaven Road City. Moreover, I have a faint feeling in my heart that I have been there before, but I just can't remember." Zichen rubbed Kang Mo's head and said, "Whether or not I've been there, we'll know when we get there. Don't think too much about it for now. Just focus on improving your refining skills. Also, don't worry about my armor. I can use the current materials to refine it for everyone. It's already in the process of being refined. One will be ready very soon." Kang Mo turned around and entered the hall to continue working. Zichen looked at the monk who was fighting with Luo not far away. His purpose was to bring everyone into Heaven's Road City. According to Wei Li, there were many powerhouses there. The Yu clan was powerful, and it was not enough for him to be strong alone. He needed everyone to be strong. At this time, most of the people in the team were at rank 5, and there were a few at rank 6. Only Zichen was at rank 7. Everyone's energy realm could no longer increase here. The only thing that could be improved now was their physical bodies. After thinking about it, Zichen decided to enter the depths first to hunt high-ranked heavenly beasts. In order for everyone to grow quickly, the most important thing would be to refine higher-grade heavenly beast inner cores. Under such circumstances, if he could continuously provide everyone with 7th-grade inner cores to refine, he believed that everyone's cultivation level would rise quickly. After Zichen said that he wanted to go deeper, no one had any objections. His combat strength was already very strong. Most importantly, there was no suppression in this world. Under such circumstances, it would be difficult for anyone to pose a threat to him. After the discussion, the others continued to stay here while Zichen went deeper. In fact, he was not going deeper alone. Shadowless was by his side. During this time, Shadowless kept going deeper and deeper to gather information, telling him the number of heavenly beasts he saw. According to Shadowless's guidance, Zichen found a rank 7 heavenly beast. There was only one. Lightning flashed on his body. Zichen rushed forward. Accompanied by the explosion of energy, the battle ended after 3 breaths. After that, he continued to go deeper. On the first day, he killed 3 rank 7 heavenly beasts. The harvest was not bad. On the second day, he killed 8. There were 3 in a group. On the third day, he killed 12 rank 7 heavenly beasts. These were all found by Shadowless overnight. Only Zichen's combat strength was so strong that he dared to go so deep without any fear. On the 4th and 5th days, he had a good harvest. Zichen, I found the heavenly wind rhino. On the 6th day, Zichun, who had gone very deep, finally saw the heavenly wind rhinos under Shadowless's guidance. There were a total of 5 heavenly wind rhinos living in a swamp. Their bodies emitted a strong aura. Clearly, they were rank 7. Rank 7 was at the level of refining battle armor. Zichun did not hesitate and rushed forward. The 5 rank 7 heavenly wind rhinos sensed his arrival. They raised their heads, and a strong aura spread out. Above the swamp, gusts of wind appeared one after another. Within the wind, sharp blades were raging, cutting through the air. Zichun's body flashed with lightning. He forced his way through the wind, allowing the wind blades to wreak havoc. When the wind blades reached him, they would be shattered by the flashing lightning. During this time, there was a continuous explosion. Arriving in front of a heavenly wind rhino, he gathered his strength and attacked. A powerful punch landed on the rhino's body. With a loud explosion, the heavenly wind rhino was sent flying by his punch and fell far away. A strong aura swept over. It was the other 4 heavenly wind rhinos that had rushed in front of Zichun. Zichun's body flashed, and he disappeared from his original spot. He appeared on the side and punched out again. After a few short attacks, the swamp that was raging with wind returned to peace. Countless mud rain fell from the sky, falling on the swamp and making splashing sounds. Zichun waved his big sleeve, collected the 5 corpses, and continued to go deeper. After a month, Zichun returned to the team and took out his harvest. Kangimo saw the 5 heavenly wind rhinos' corpses and shouted in surprise. Zichun stayed with the team for a day, and then went deeper again. His harvest in a short month was more than the combined harvest of the entire army in decades. During this time, he would also refine the heavenly beast's inner cores. However, the increase in his cultivation was too small. In the sky, Zichun went straight ahead. Shadowless had found a new target and was calling for him. Without a sound, the space beside him broke open, and a sharp blade went straight for Zichun's back. Chapter 2962. They had actually been ambushed. That was the first thought that appeared in Zichun's mind. Then, he calmed down. Along the way, he had been ambushed too many times. The only time he had almost been in danger was at the Black Order battlefield. The other ambushes were nothing to him. That was because Zhang Haoyan had always been in the team, and also because he had already grasped the secrets of the Misty Shadow. Among the heavenly generals, who had better concealment techniques than the Misty Shadow, only Zhang Haoyan. The ambush was fast, but his thoughts were even faster. As the thought flashed through his mind, Zichun's fist had already struck out. The fist landed solidly on the sharp blade, and lightning exploded in front of him. The terrifying power wreaked havoc, and the sharp blade in front of him shattered instantly. Behind the blade was a man. He was not wearing a mask, and looked extremely unprofessional. His face was filled with shock, and his body was about to hide again. "Oomph!" Zichun snorted coldly, and his voice was like a heavy hammer that struck the man's heart. The lightning on his fist continued to flash, and a violent aura surged out again, landing on the man's chest. Thunder roared, and the man's armor instantly shattered. Endless lightning energy poured into the man's body like a torrent. The unprofessional assassin, who looked like he was barely at the 7th grade, coughed up blood and flew backwards. His body drew an arc in the air, and he crashed to the ground, no longer breathing. Zichun walked forward, and with a wave of his hand, he collected the man's body. He did not care if the assassination was intentional or coincidental. He had no interest in it at all. With the protection of the lightning body, he was not afraid of any assassination. Furthermore, the assassin's assassination techniques were not very good. At least, they were much worse than the Misty Shadow. As for whether they would find trouble with Zhang Haoyan and the others, Zichun did not care. As long as Zhang Haoyan was in the team, no assassin would be able to get close, let alone such an unprofessional one. Not long after, he met up with Shadowless, and they continued to kill the 7th grade heavenly beasts. Another month passed, and Zichun returned to the team. At this time, the team was still moving forward slowly. After returning, Su Mingyao told him that the team had been ambushed, and all of them had died. Actually, she didn't see it. It was Zhang Haoyan who said that before the opponent could make a move, Zhang Haoyan had discovered him and killed him. Zichen thought for a moment and said, "Protect Kang Emo well?" Su Mingyao already knew what happened to Kang Emo. She asked him to stay in the hall at all times. Now she nods gently. Zichen once again took out some level 7 heavenly beast resources and gave them to Su Mingyao. A day later, he left once again. On the day that Zichen left, Su Mingyao and the others also began to move and went directly into the depths. This time, Zichen took a full 3 months to return. Obviously, he had gained a lot. For the next half a year, sometimes once a year, 2 people appeared in front of him. Looking at these 2 rank 7 martial artists, he attacked without hesitation. After a while, the battle ended. Now, he could easily control the power of lightning and ensure that he could obtain a complete set of battle armor. The battle armor might seem useless here, but once they returned to the God Realm, the battle armor here would be of great use. During this time, Zichen was also collecting materials, not letting go of any grade. He did not know which force came to assassinate him. In short, in these years, many people had died. Time passed, and Zichen and the others had stayed in this area for more than 100 years. In these 100 years, they had been refining resources continuously, and everyone's realm had increased rapidly. Luo Yi was the first rank 7 martial artist in the team besides Zichen. She had broken through 50 years ago, followed by the Devil Ape and Longhu Sovereign. The others in the team had also reached rank 6 in a very short time. Now, they were not far from rank 7. In these 100 years, Kang Emo had refined 2 sets of custom-made battle armor. One was for Luo Yi, and the other was for Xing Chen. Zichen's 3rd set of battle armor was still in the process of being refined. It was said that it was almost done. For a custom-made battle armor, this speed was obviously very fast. At this time, everyone had already entered the area where most of the rank 7 heavenly beasts were, but they were still moving forward slowly. As time passed, more and more people in the team had reached rank 7. Zichen still did not show any signs of breaking through. In this period of time, he had refined quite a number of heavenly beasts in her cores. Could it be that I have to find a rank 8 heavenly beast? Zichen couldn't help but think. He had never fought with a heavenly beast of that level before, but he had fought with rank 8 heavenly beasts before, such as Donder. With this thought in mind, he began to go deeper. 5 days later, he found a rank 8 heavenly beast. It was a rank 8 Gale heavenly eagle, and it was hunting. Its sharp claws had pierced through the head of a rank 7 heavenly beast, and it was flying with the corpse. Swish! Zichen used the lightning 9 deaths and charged towards the Gale heavenly eagle. The Gale heavenly eagle had also noticed Zichen's arrival. It let go of the corpse and flew towards him. Zichen clenched his fist, and lightning flashed on his fist. Boom! The energy vibrated, and Zichen's body was pushed back. The Gale heavenly eagle also flew up into the sky. It spread its wings, and with 2 gusts of wind, it swooped down again. It swooped down fiercely, like a falling meteorite. Zichen looked at the Gale heavenly eagle as it swooped down. He could feel the terrifying aura coming towards him, and his expression turned serious. Lightning flashed on his body. It was the power of the lightning body, and also the power of yin and yang. The 3 types of energy swirled around his body, gathering towards his fist. He clenched his fist and punched out. Pong! The tricolored light exploded, and a powerful shockwave spread out. The Gale heavenly eagle cried out in pain, and was sent flying back. Zichen flew up into the sky, following it like a shadow, and punched out again. With a loud boom, the feathers on the Gale heavenly eagle's head shattered, and blood splattered everywhere as its body was sent flying. With a screech, it flapped its wings, preparing to flee. To be able to send a powerful rank 8 heavenly beast fleeing in an instant, one could see how powerful and terrifying Zichen was. Zichen's body flashed, and he used the lightning 9 deaths to the maximum. In a blink of an eye, he had caught up with the Gale heavenly eagle. Swish! With a raise of his hand, the blade slashed down, and a strong light flashed. The blade cut through the Gale heavenly eagle's head with great difficulty. Puff! Blood spurted out, and the Gale heavenly eagle's body was sent flying for thousands of feet before it landed on the ground. With a wave of his hand, Zi-chun kept the Gale Heavenly Eagle's body. Obtaining an 8th grade Heavenly Beast's inner core, his face was filled with joy. After that, he stopped moving forward, and instead, he started to refine the energy from the 8th grade Heavenly Beast's inner core. The energy was extremely powerful, and after it entered his body, it would be refined by the lightning body, and the purest part would be absorbed by his body. After refining the 8th grade Heavenly Beast's inner core, Zi-chun's physical body did not break through, which made him feel very regretful. Fortunately, his combat strength had increased, and the lightning around his body was even more violent. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.